Hello? What's up?
Hey, Carl, what's up?
All right, welcome to Bombhole Group Chat, episode number 15. We got a great show for you guys today. We're going to talk about some videos. We're going to talk product. We're going to talk about some recent events. And we're going to answer your guys' questions submitted on IG as well as our Patreon members. So thank you for our Patreon members for sending those. This show is brought to you by Run Through a Wall Smelling Salts, Woodward, Bubs, Herschel, Oakley, Mammoth, Turtle Box, LAAX Open, CAPiTA, Union, Nitro, Uninvited, and LAAX. And today we're also going to be taking a call from Todd Richards, if he picks up, hopefully. And in studio, we got some great guests for you. We got Bryan Fox to my right. What's happening, Bri?
Hello, Chris.
Happy that you're here. We got Egan Wint in studio.
Hey, Chris.
Good to see you. And we have North American sales manager at Arbor Snowboards, Trevor Brady.
What's good, Dees?
Not a whole lot. How'd you hit him this weekend?
I hit him good, brother. I shot a 82 the first round, 78 the second round.
Whew.
It was fire. Greens were rolling nice. I was visiting the in-laws down in southern Utah, and if you know what I mean, you got to break up the day. Golf's a nice way to do it, so yeah, it was sick.
Love to see that. Well, let's just jump right into it. The most recent event that just happened was the X Games Street Style Pro Qualifier at Copper Mountain. It was a rail jam. Egan was there. Egan, how was the setup? How were the conditions?
Conditions were gnarly. It was super icy, super scary. The setup was a slope style course, but they didn't put the jumps in. I don't know if I'd ever hit a street spot that looked like that, but it was fun. It was kind of, as far as the slope style setups that we've ridden before, it was really good. It felt more street style, but it was kind of a scary event to be in.
How'd you do?
I was already pre-qualified for Aspen, so I was there to support and have fun.
Have a good time.
I did well, though. I did things that I wanted to do, so.
Yeah, you were ripping, boardied the kink, you were shredding. It was really fun.
Pretzeled it, come on.
No sled pretz. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. There was a bunch of hot action happening. It looked close together, though. It looked like you had to be on your toes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, and it was super slick in between. So it was just like dancing in between the features, just trying to get there.
Well, a lot of people want to know. We got some questions specifically about your helmet.
Let's go.
It was incredible. Where'd you come up with the concept of this? We call it a dino helmet. What are we calling it?
I don't know. I've heard a lot of things. I heard Raptor. I heard Godzilla. You know, I never went the dinosaur route in my own head, but I guess that's what people were seeing.
What, do we have spikes or something?
Yeah, it was like a mohawk. It was like a mohawk and it.
Like a stegosaurus.
Stegosaurus. That's not the first time I heard that one.
That's what I thought when I saw it. I was
See?
like, oh, she's going stegosaurus vibes.
You made it?
No, okay. When I was really young on Shark Tank, when it was kind of first coming out, there were people who made mohawks for the helmets.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the sharks didn't like it, and they ixnayed it, and I always thought that was bogus. Fast forward however long, right now, I'm like trying to figure out how to make my helmet sick for X Games. I don't have a wrap on it.
Uh-huh.
I just have a Pro-Tech. So I wanted to add a mohawk to it. Couldn't really find it. Went to Copper, forgot my helmet. So I stopped at the Walmart in Frisco, and in the kids' bike section, they had those helmets. Yeah.
Then it passed the safety check and everything. You're good to go.
They didn't do it this time.
Oh, nice.
I was really scared.
Nice.
But it was supposed to light up. There's a button in the back, and it didn't work.
Well, we have another question from Make Happiness on Instagram. Egan, what was it like going from bald face straight to X Games?
Well, the bald face backcountry and just being on the island above the clouds, straight into bulletproof, under the lights, Thunderdome. Pretty drastic changes as far as snowboarding goes, but you know, this year I'm really trying to lean into being an ATV, and going from those two extremes felt really fitting for the season. I'm excited.
Love it. You killed it. And the results I got in front of me here, Iris got the win, Lex got second, and Lily got third. Freaking barn burner of a showdown. Really fun to watch.
I think it was the heaviest women's rail jam that I've watched so far. Uninvited was insane, but honestly, the level of technicality that was going down was just wild. On how gnarly of a course it was, to stay on your feet was...
It looked close.
Yeah.
And then for the men's results, Frank Jobin got first, LJ got second, and Benny Milam got third. One thing I do have to say is I was watching it from a live stream from my house. I don't know if you probably, did you see it, Egan? Did you see the live stream or hear anything about it?
No.
It was atrocious. I'm just going to be honest. I think X Games knows it was atrocious. I'm sure Craig knows. Craig is one of my favorite announcers of all time. Let that be. I am a huge fan. But I think they were doing it remotely from his bathroom, at home with dial-up internet or something, because it was awkward silence and delays and horrible sound, echoing. It was a fucking disaster of a live stream. So I think obviously there's probably, I'd imagine anybody at X Games would be like, I think we need to have our announcers in person next time. I think that's a no-brainer. So I would say, I talked to Sage, he said it was so bad he turned it off because he couldn't handle how bad the fucking broadcast was.
We were all live on Instagram at the bottom. And I went live for probably my first real time, and I had 50 people in there. Mm-hmm. That's a lot.
Fuck yeah.
Should have tuned into that. Tuned into that.
That's a good
I've never
race.
gone live.
Never gone live?
Never gone live.
It was really fun.
Why not?
I don't know. It feels exposed.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Fucking.
Everything you say is just right there. They're hearing it.
Yeah, it's a little post-apocalyptic too, to just be like, I'm out here just streaming what I'm seeing, just seeing. You know, you're like, fucking, what are you doing with your life if you're watching what I'm watching live?
Okay, but what if you're not at X Games?
Good point.
I haven't watched X Games in probably 18 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Since
seriously.
Sean Palmer was doing bordercross. That's kind of your era, though, Uncle Bryan.
I mean, probably since JP and those dudes would go. I don't know if they really took X Games serious.
Yeah,
but you'd
05 Mount Snow or something. Or whatever
You'd see him there or whatever. Like Yoni Malmi might go do a blind front board on a flat rail.
Yep.
But
I want to run it back too. I do think you had a great point there, Egan. It's called X Games Street Style. Thought that was an interesting name given the fucking features that were in the rail jam.
I did an interview before, a couple of days before going to X Games. They're like, why are you coming back to Copper? And I gave them a whole spiel about X Games Aspen last year was just the one tier.
Yep.
And I was like, yo, it's so sick that X Games is the main stage and they stayed true to the format, gave us the time frame. We were competing all at the same time, just rapid fire. I'm so stoked at that. I want to back that. I want to support that. And I show up to Aspen and just fuck me. I don't know. I hope people don't hear that and they're like, this is street style. This is what she wants. Because that's just not what any of us want. I've never, at practice, the day of the event, with the guys and the girls, I've never had, the vibes were so bad. It was 2 hours long, which is long. We were hiking the full 3 tiers, just making sad eye contact and trying to be stoked and just this is, are you having fun? Because yeah, we're having fun.
fuck.
But then the event was once the crowd gets there and the music's going and the lights are on, the energy's there and it's fine.
Absolutely.
Did Iris win by a landslide? What was the?
She was consistent. She was ripping.
She was. She did a good cab too.
Yeah. I mean, it was just a lot of full pulls, a lot of just consistency. I think everybody was riding really well, but the people that got on the podium just tended to piece together full lines without, you're right? Would you
And
agree?
hit big things.
Yeah.
I mean, Iris is just the best female snowboarder right now, honestly. And to watch her go down that course, and she was the one opening up the transfers. She was the one But I mean, the whole time it was pretty obvious that we were chasing her tails.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, the leaderboard, you knew. And she was looking confident and she was shredding.
Yeah.
Another thing that was huge for the bomb hole and, of course, run through wall smelling salts is we had our athlete in there. We had Pat Fava. He was wearing the run through a wall helmet, which is basically a complete joke, making fun of energy drink helmets. And Pat embraced it, and he looked great in that bonnet. I wrapped it in my garage. I ordered some stickers online and got a heat gun, and I think it turned out pretty good. So for us, that was a huge win having him in there. And that's, if you haven't seen it, go watch the replays.
What kind of royalties are we talking on that, Diesel?
Well, I'll tell you, we're a results-based program. We're results-based. So a lot of it's, if you get on the podium for second or third, that's when the bonuses really start to pour in. We're results-based.
Do you think that like maybe Red Bull and Monster also started the helmet wraps as a joke?
No.
Like they're like, like the first ones are like, haha, this would be funny.
We're going to make it look just like a can.
Look how stupid McMorris looks in the X Games. And then they're like, oh, fuck. Like, that worked out pretty well.
People are actually down. Egg, I got a question for you on the as I was watching it, but dude, it looked crazy icy in between the features. Like everybody would roll in and like side slip of doom.
Yeah.
Do you think that was because they let the skiers go first and they scrubbed all the snow?
Well, great question, Trev.
Or do you think, because I was sitting there tripping, I was like, dude, I wouldn't even want to strap in and go down that. Like you have one option to go straight.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I meant by dancing in between. You're literally just trying to aim, and hopefully you're on the right side of the feature, and hopefully you made it to the right edge. But the skiers were dancing around too. I can't even lie to you. Even they were complaining, and they have like the kind of
17 edges.
They got more edges.
17
They got
edges.
17.
But they have like gimbal knees. They can kind of like make it happen more. Versus if you slip out, you're fucked on a snowboard.
They do have gimbal knees. That is a fact.
But they went first, and you would watch the pile of like where you turn to get back in the corral. You'd watch the pile of snow like grow and grow, and you're like, oh yeah, like I could have landed on that, but now it's just harder ice.
The first time I met Christopher was at what?
Christian's my name, actually.
Christian God. First time I met our God was at Wachusett Valley or what?
Did we meet at Wachusett?
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
I was judging a rail jam.
Oh, East Coast Invitational.
East Coast Invitational.
Yep.
And that was the condition, straight brick. And it was my first time ever going to an East Coast resort. There's all these kids going crazy. He was one of them. And I was like, I think that this is the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life. Not just snowboarding. I was like, not a single human has control. Just like, and I also left being like, I wouldn't be into snowboarding if I grew up here. Like, at
Dude,
all.
when you're on the East and there's a major event, like you're like, I will die. I don't care if it's on a hockey, if it's they hose it down and it's a hockey rink of pure ice, like I will die. I don't care.
Switch front blunt, same way or something.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was a good one for me. Won a trip to the Vail session from that contest, which I grenaded in. So anyway, I digress. We're going to get into a fun section of the show. It's called Run Through a Wall Trivia.
Welcome to Run Through a Wall Trivia. You're fired.
Okay, the concept of the show here is I'm going to ask you guys questions. First person to buzz and get the correct answer gets a point. And if you buzz and get the wrong answer, you whack a smelling salt. If you want to. This is optional, by the way.
It's highly encouraged.
But it's Silk said it's highly encouraged. Agreed.
And also, you can buzz before he's done reading the question.
But just to be clear, are you guys just so you know, if you buzz and you get the question wrong, you gotta do a salt.
Yep.
A freshie too, right? You can't hit a little second hitter on that thing.
No. Got to be fresh. And I want to make sure I got a clean line of sight to all of your buzzers.
You just slap one?
Just for the hell of it.
Yep. And the winner of Run Through Wall Trivia gets $25 to Arby's. So
Fire.
good luck. Okay, is everybody ready? You got your buzzers? Mm-hmm. Close? Everybody ready? First question. Where is the hip that Ingmar did the legendary backside air? You don't know this, Brian? Where's the hip that Ingmar did the legendary backside air?
Yes, Brian.
Norway.
You need to be more specific than that.
Hemsedal.
Oh, you gotta do a salt, brother.
Is it not Hemsedal?
Yes, Trevor.
Stubai?
Oh boy.
I don't know Europe.
The correct answer is Rick Scranson.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, I actually did know about Rick
And
Scranson.
I think Rick Scranson might be in Sweden, not Norway, now I think about it too.
It is in Sweden.
Yep. So, okay, bonus question.
Was that just a lobber for me?
I thought you would get
Yeah.
that.
That was an old head question
That's
for
a-
sure.
Bonus, you might be able to redeem yourself. What board was he riding?
Atlantis.
There he is. Okay.
Okay, hold on. Who shot that photo?
Well, Pierre Wickberg, I believe,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
All right. Name 2 female snowboarders that have front boarded a kink rail in the streets.
Jill and Iris
That's correct. You could put Lolo in there as well.
and Lolo.
Yep. But it said 2. All right.
What about MFR?
I don't know if she front boarded a kink in the streets. I don't remember that.
We got to go deep into the Rome video. Rome video archives.
I don't think she did. I think she did a gap front too. I don't think she did some stuff, but she didn't front board a kink. All right, next question. Name 2 riders that have hit the legendary cliff, lookers right, side of crest, going up next to the Hollywood cliffs. Name 2 riders that have hit that big cliff to the right, going up crest.
We're talking
Next to
going up
Hollywood?
crest,
Going up crest.
Brighton?
right underneath the top.
Right underneath.
Chris Coulter and Randy Van Erden.
That's correct.
Come on.
There he is.
Which, like under the lift?
Yeah, but under the lift, but you can hit it right. They build like a platform.
Yep.
And it's beast. Coulter has a sick
promo
photo
copy,
on that.
either Cab 5 or Back 3. And Randy has a published photo on as well.
Randy,
And-
yeah.
And bonus, Jeremy Jones has also hit that.
Randy built up he went up one summer and like built up a bunch of wood and stuff for like a flat platform, but you can see it when you're like going over Killer or whatever
It's called,
you call that one.
we call it Coulter Cliff, but I couldn't say the name because it would give it away. Any rate, that one was for Bone, so I'm glad he got that.
UTOG, brother.
Who has Ender part in True Life?
JP Walker.
That's correct. What trick did Zoe Sadowski-Sinat recently do for the first time?
Backside triple cork.
That's correct.
Wow.
What
good.
snowboarder has a video part timeline as their base graphic on their new model?
Is that Freddie Perry?
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's the best trivia I've ever heard.
It's like literally like the timeline of a. It's really cool graphic. Anyway, next question. Name 1 snowboarder that has done a 1-footed backside 720.
Bodie Merrill.
That's correct.
Who else we got? Nicholas Mueller.
I don't know if he landed it, but he definitely tried one at Aaron Style. That was the first time I ever saw it.
Scott Stevens,
He
probably.
hasn't done one. I don't think Scott's done one. Not Japan or
Jesse Burtner.
I don't know. I honestly think Bodie. I could be wrong. on
Sorry,
that.
keep going.
Next question. Name 1 famous jump/hit named by JP Walker or Jeremy Jones at Brighton.
H2O.
Correct. I didn't have it on my list, but I'm sure. Did they name that? Is that confirmed?
Of course.
Okay.
Probably Gorillas in the Mist.
Yeah, that
Gorillas in the Mist.
that was what I was looking for. That's what I was
Gorillas in the
looking for.
Mist.
We got Gorillas in the Mist, Superman, Immortalizer,
Superhuman.
Superhuman. I mean, sorry.
Do you think he named Walters?
I was wondering that myself. I have swimming pool and Walters question mark here, but I'm guess they named him.
I feel like that was like a lifty back in the 90s that just like Billy goated out there and his name was Walter.
But I'll bet they still named it. Like his
sure.
name might have been Walter, but they're like, let's call it Walters.
I mean, nobody's hitting that cliff by choice. That thing sucks, dude.
They made
Biggest
me
fatty
hit
to
it.
flat.
They
Yeah,
made
and
me
it's-
hit
that's
it.
the initiation clip, right?
Initiation, dude.
Yeah, maybe let's just do a quick little brief explanation of the initiation cliff in the middle of trivia.
I don't know how old I was, but young enough to be like really smitten by professional snowboarders still. And I think Tonino like lined me up to spend a day at Brighton with JP, Jeremy, and Seth. And on the first lift, like what's the lift that takes you
Millie.
to Walters? Millie, they're like, what up? Like, how you feeling today? And I'm like, oh, I'm pretty good. I don't know. And they're like, today? Initiation, dude. And I was like, what does that mean? He's like, we're hitting the big 6.
Do you remember what they were?
It was Walters. Yeah, maybe Gorillas in the Mist. Thin Man.
Thin men that shoot.
They like shoot, but the cliff
You
part
can hit
of it.
the cliff. Yeah.
We didn't hit the. What's the thing you hike out to that weird past that Jason Brown? There's like that weird Jason Brown board slide cabin. Is that thing still out there?
Yep.
And there's like maybe like a wind lip or some sort of huge cornice.
Step down into the.
No, it's like like just a huge cornice.
Yep.
Yeah, into like rock gardens.
Alpal.
Alpal
The
hit that.
Alpal.
Yeah, that one that
Yeah.
he hit, and one other one. It was honestly all of them were pretty good except for Walters. And
Walters is flat. It's the
Oh, yeah.
worst.
dude.
And also, JP stayed up there with me. The other boys went to the bottom. They're like, yeah, well, we're not hitting it. We've hit it, bro, or whatever. And JP's like, yeah, I'll stay up here with you, dude.
The real question, did you stomp?
Fuck no. No, it is like, I think I've seen like Parker maybe Cannon or something like hit it
Hunter's landed
Yeah.
off of that.
sideways or something. But either way, sorry.
For
You
the
gotta
listeners that are just completely lost, Walters is probably the biggest, flattest cliff that exists at Brighton. It's just, it sucks.
Yeah, it's absolutely terrible. It reminded me of when I was a little kid and I got somewhat good enough to skateboard, but not really good enough to ollie. And you'd try to like find a roof to like roll off.
Yep. That's
And you're like, yeah, I hit that
Classic.
roof. Yeah.
Yeah.
going to an 8-foot loading dock. Yeah. Okay. Next question. Who left their Red Bull heavy metal trophy at Milo Sport for years?
Bozong.
That's correct.
That thing's like 100 pounds too. That's a sick trophy though.
Next question. What's the difference between turning and giving up?
That is Bryan.
Trick question. Nothing.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. Yes.
Trick question. It's the same thing. That's exactly right. Okay. Name one rider that has been injured while eating a snack in the backcountry.
I don't know this, but I'm gonna say Griffin Siebert.
That's correct. He cut his nose eating a Cliff Bar or something like that.
Classic.
Yep.
Frozen Cliff will do that to you. Those edges are sharp, brother.
Dude, Jeremy suckered me into this cliff bar.
Name one rider that drives a orange Honda Element.
CBDBs, our boy.
Again, Griff Siebert.
I
That's
think
correct.
I beat him on that though.
I'm gonna.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Does it show you?
No, just
Okay.
using my eyes.
Okay,
but
okay,
I'm pretty
okay.
sure
Line
that
of
was
sight.
Trev. Yeah. Also, you guys are tied right now.
Yeah, you guys. Oh, final
Dude.
question.
Oh, it's the face off.
You guys are tied for the final
Big
question.
moment.
You guys ready for this? The tiebreaker. What rider did a backside rodeo 720 over Chad's Gap in Utah?
Travis Rice.
Oh, yeah, that's correct. Bryan, congratulations.
Wow.
You won.
What do I get?
$25 to Arby's.
I love roast beef.
Yep. We've actually been yet to give anybody a gift certificate. We just like saying it on
We
there.
say it.
Little beef and shed.
Is it still like a company?
Oh, yeah.
Arby's?
Oh, yeah. I see him. I see him right now. We
There's
got
one down on State Street. We could go after this.
I'll hit it with you.
Little curly fry, brother.
Absolutely.
Oh shit.
All right, let's do a little check-in with Egan here. Big year. You recently won DIYX
She just hit one.
Street Jam. Oh, and she just hit Assault. In addition to winning the DIYX Street Jam, which one was more climactic?
She's crying.
Probably DIYX.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. No, I meant the smelling salts.
Did you hit any over there? You did.
Yeah, I only had to hit one.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about DIYX. You're
Yeah,
getting the dub.
let's do.
How was it?
It's the best. It is too much fun. And I don't even drink.
Do you get judged on partying? I heard like you have like it's like
Oh yeah. I mean, there's the snowboard overall and for the men's and the women's, and then there's the DIYX winner.
Okay.
So last year at the castle, it was the most medieval motherfucker, and this year it was the DIYXiest.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Do you hit like other things that could change your state of being other than alcohol?
I'm a pot smoker.
Ah, big pot smoker. Okay. Because you can still party without drinking alcohol.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you can party sober, but
Okay, this DIYX, I was pretty fucking sober. Sweden is scary to smoke in.
oh,
Like everyone was just telling us crazy horror stories of like, you go outside and smoke a spliff and come back in, and the bartender, there's these rent-a-cops all over the place in Sweden. They all have like the same uniform, but they're not the actual police. They will put you in zip tie handcuffs and call the real cops and just like babysit you until they get there for smoking some weed.
Some narcs.
Narcs, dude.
narcs
Exactly.
everywhere.
Nobody
Narcs
likes a
everywhere.
narc.
Are these guys civilians or are they just, what's the deal? That seems kind of nuts to me.
I don't know. They were also the security that was hired for us
Okay.
at one of the places. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those ones that we hired were chill,
Yeah.
but the ones everywhere were like sketch. We saw somebody get tased in the street on our walk home one night.
Damn.
Yeah.
And you won 2 racks, right? 2K. How much did you win?
Yeah.
2 G's?
2G euros.
Oh,
Oh.
2,000 euros.
What's the exchange right now? What are we talking?
Probably right now it's probably 2,200 USD.
Who?
You're not mad. You bring that home cash?
No.
Brought it home in an oversized check, actually.
Yeah.
No, I forgot my check.
Oh, you did?
Well, it's hard when you're international. Well, and it's also hard when you get it at the beginning of the night at DIYX.
Do you win a lot of contests?
I
Red Bull
try.
Heavy Metal last
try.
year?
Yeah.
Yep.
Last 2 years.
Yeah. So I would say yes,
That's-
as
yeah,
a
you're a
person
bit
that
of a
announces
winner.
them. Yeah.
I do my
feels,
best.
That feels great, hey?
Yeah.
Do you love it? Do you
shit.
feel bad for second place? Like, are you like, fuck, if I wasn't here, you would have got first?
I
No?
honestly can't say that thought has crossed my mind.
Just wonder, you know. That's the crazy thing about contests is like, it's like this clear, like,
Well, you didn't make
It's just like,
But it's she.
you know, like, that's pretty rare in life. You don't really get these moments where you're like, just a little bit better than you, huh?
and I proved it.
They all voted.
They thought so too.
Everybody here
Yeah.
knows.
It wasn't just me. It was a unanimous decision.
You guys pretty good. You did pretty good. I did a little bit better. A little bit better.
You can tell by this giant check that I'm carrying that you are not.
Top dog.
Well, I love watching you in rail jams, Egan, because you get fired up. She's got the entertainment value, like laying out the backy and everything on the Red Bull Gap jump last year was amazing in Minnesota. You get fired up before these, or are you just getting baked and chilling? What's your mentality going into these things?
I freak the fuck out for sure, and so I smoke a huge spliff.
Does that help?
I think so.
It's gotta be like enhancing in some way, right? If you're like minimizing like stress or anxiety
Yeah,
to be able to be
absolutely.
like, yeah, we're good. Like,
It's a double-edged
I think
sword.
that was
though.
a
It can
Dan-
hit you different,
yeah,
and you're just
Danny
like
Cass
next thing you're riddled
superpower.
with it. You're like,
And sometimes with the spliffs, I can't really hang with the tobacco as much. And I get too much tobacco, and I'm like, oh, I kind of feel like shit now.
yeah.
But then also, like, do I feel like shit because I smoked a huge spliff, or because there's like 6,000 people here ready to watch me eat shit?
What about, say, like when you and Iris, like, you guys are good friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How do you feel like you're going to be able to handle that maybe when you go to the sex games? Like, still friends, or you kind of walk by on the step and you're just like,
Or am I pissed? Is that what you're
yeah,
asking?
well, are you just like, like, we're not friends today?
No, we stay pretty good friends. Iris and I specifically coach each other a lot. Like, just the other day at this qualifier event, I'm like putting my snowboard on, and she's like, Egan, come here. And I rip it back off, and I'm like, what do you need? She was like, I'm scared to try the transfer. I was like, just fucking do it. Like, you're so good at snowboarding. You're locked in. You did everything else. Just fucking do it. She did it.
Okay.
So you guys have
But-
built-in coaches with
Yeah.
and friendship. That's great.
Well, I mean, it's hard because also you're at X Games and everyone's like headphones in, coach in their ear. Like, fuck that. I don't want to do that.
We have a question here. This is from Twisted Stock. Got to know the golden ratio. This is for Bone and Egan.
You go first.
I'm a little bit transient right now with that. I'm trying to figure it out. You always want to say 60-40, but I can't even lie to you. I've been running 50-50 these days.
Okay.
You go like 60-40 green to brown, like your hat, or what?
Yeah. Extra green. I grew up in Colorado, so spliffs are a little.
I'm kind of just more about efficiency. I just put it all in there and just
Mystery pack.
hope
Mystery
and pray
pack.
that it hits me right.
You don't.
nice.
I think you'd have a spreadsheet going. Maybe kind of get
Yeah,
some data.
I usually do. Yeah, I'm counting the flakes of tobacco, weighing out the weed.
Which one's more expensive?
Weed. Yeah, for sure. We're in Utah, brother. We're in like Pineapple Express. We got to go over to the homie's house.
That's why I started smoking spliffs. Because
Just to save cash.
to save weed, because it makes it last. Like when you're putting half tobacco in your spliff, that's half the amount of weed that you're using.
Okay.
And also, you can smoke twice as soon because you smoked half the amount of weed.
Okay.
You can kind of keep it rolling a little more throughout the day, not just getting blasted every time.
Yeah.
You should try it.
I haven't yet. Yeah, I have never smoked weed.
No.
No, yeah.
Ever
Really?
in your life?
No, yeah.
Do you want to try?
Wild.
No.
That would be good. Actually, that would be good to do on air
you know,
right
for
now for the first time
Brian's
ever.
first time ever.
We actually brought a gravity bong over here for you.
I'm just in the corner like. I did have these
scared.
boys, Noah Peterson and Kale Zima came to my house this summer and we built a sauna and they smoke weed pretty much like, well, I don't want to put them on blast, but I would say pretty consistently throughout like daylight hours. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they wake up and smoke also because I can't imagine that they could make it through the night without smoking with the amount of weed they smoke during the day. You know, you're like, dude, if you build up that much, if I drank coffee all day, every day, you're like 8 hours would be crazy to not do this. So I'm thinking, sometimes I would think like these boys probably wake up, just like take a couple of puffs and go straight back to sleep.
For sure. Wake up at 3 a.m., your head starts spinning. You're like, well, I know what I'm going to do to fix this.
Yeah.
I have a really bad habit. I smoke a spliff in bed every night, most every night. Blah, it's every night.
Before bed. Or
In-
like,
In the bed.
I'm laying in my bed. My window's open. I'm smoking a spliff. Probably 30% of the time, I wake up like an hour later with a half-smoked spliff in my hand. And I'm like, whoa. And that shit is definitely getting sparked and smoked before I go back
damn,
to
that's
sleep.
dangerous.
That's a fire
I know,
hazard
that's-
for show.
I have gotten that feedback before, but I don't know what to tell you. Like, I fall asleep. I'm not really doing it on purpose.
Like, that's sketchy, dude.
Damn, how did Iris's house burn? Sorry, how did Egan's house burn down? Oh, yeah, about that.
She fell asleep.
She'd
with
been
a
doing it
spliff
every
again.
night. It was fine. Just this one night.
All right, folks, we have a special announcement. We will be announcing the LAAX Open on Red Bull TV here in our studio January 18th with Danny Davis and Craig McMorris. We're going to have a blast in studio, calling the pipe final, calling the slope style final. It's going to be a monumental event. So be sure to check out Red Bull TV January 18th. It's going to be a good time, so don't miss it. Now, do you find yourself slowing down a little bit in your older age, maybe getting off hill a little earlier? Well, you could be dehydrated. 75% of Americans are dehydrated. And that goes up when you're at elevation, when you're in the mountains. So I drink Bubs Hydrate or Die hydration packets. There's 2,000 milligrams of electrolytes. There's no added sugar. There's no artificial flavors. Let me tell you, when I'm hydrated, I ride better. I can ride longer. I have more energy. All in all, my vitality is just better. So if you're interested in picking up some Bubs Naturals Hydrate or Die, head on over to bubsnaturals.com and use promo code BOMBHOLE for 20% off your order. And stay hydrated, people, with Bubs Naturals Hydrate or Die. All right, folks, we got some exciting news. The new year is here, and the Uninvited has been spreading the love all over the whole world. The first ever Uninvited China session went off yesterday at Mellow Park in Nanshan, Beijing, where the whole country is gearing up for the Year of the Dragon. And speaking of big dragon energy, we're excited to announce that the Bombhole is the official media partner for the Uninvited Invitational 2025, which is once again presented by the North Face, happening this April 10th to 13th at Woodward Park City here in Utah. And if you caught last year's event, you know it was insane. Big tricks, big money. We had 70 riders from 25 countries throwing down for $56,000 cash purse. This year, the Uninvited is up in the ante once again with $60,000 US on the line. That's basically $100K if you're Canadian. So mark those dates, come through for the riders. Bring your signs, paint your faces, bring your crew, and let's hype up some of the best snowboarders in the world. Again, that's the Uninvited Invitational presented by the North Face, going down April 10th to 13th at Woodward Park City. Don't miss it.
Oh, whoops.
Wait, what is that?
Sorry, I'm calling Richards right now. Hang on. We're calling Todd. Richards,
Yo,
you got us?
I got you. Can you hear me now?
Oh, you're live on the, well, you're not live. This comes out in a few days, but welcome to Bombhole Group Chat. You got Bryan Fox, Egan Wint, Trevor Brady, Silk, and myself in studio. How you doing, Todd?
Good. What are you guys talking about?
Well, we were talking about Egan smoking a spliff and potentially burning your house down, but we're going to change gears now. And we're going to talk about,
Sick.
I want to talk about the Grand Prix this weekend that you announced. And there was some controversy around the women's halfpipe final. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I'd just like to say that I hope that the prescription comes in for all of the judges. That's all I have to say.
The eye prescription.
The eye, yes, the prescription. Not, and maybe, yeah, just the eye prescription. It was bad, dude. Like, and I understand how. No, I don't fucking understand. I know what the judges said. They were like, well, she didn't complete her full run, and then there was some bullshit about like where the end of the half pipe was. But you know, did you see the run? Did you see Chloe Kim's run?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's trick for trick, hard to argue.
Yeah, it's like she was done with her line and just was like claiming going across the flat bottom and fell over. But like no one even touched the first three tricks in her line. Never mind the rest of it. Like no one even came close to the first three moves that she did.
Yeah, the back three to switch method alone.
Yeah, and then into a 1080 as a setup for another. It's just so wild. And I know, you know, Chloe's got to be graceful because she's the chosen one, you know, the media darling. But, dude, I would have lost my fucking mind. It was like, it was bad. It was bad.
You ever feel like you got judged unfairly when you were the media darling?
Oh, no. I deserve all of it. Everyone has their day. I mean, I'm sure that I got hooked up with some points because, you know, once you establish a name, you kind of get hooked up with points a little bit. It's dumb, but that happens. But I feel like, you know, Chloe's being judged against herself, and that's not fair to do to any competitor. You know, like Derrier was getting judged against himself. I was getting judged against myself. I think the judges, like I don't know, I guess like the group think sometimes after you've won a whole bunch of contests, like the group think starts to work against you regardless of how well you rode. Like they kind of want to see a change. Well, and it's not always quote unquote legal.
Well, why don't you I'll break down the run for you for the listeners that don't know. So she dropped in because she basically landed two runs fully. But it was back three into a beautiful switch method into cab 10, front 10.
At least a switch method that was at least 12 feet high.
Yes.
Like it wasn't just like a small phone it in. It was boosted.
Yep. And then cab 10, front 10, and then cab 9. And then the first run she landed, and as she was going across the flat bottom up the next wall, she tipped over. So that was, you know, not scored well, which is debatable. But then the last run she did landed everything. Grabs were a little bit.
They weren't there.
They weren't quite
let's be
there.
honest.
They weren't there.
They weren't there.
Yep. So in some ways, to play devil's advocate, it seems like they were just really honed in on execution, right? Was that what's going through their minds?
I think that's the story they're going to tell you. But at the same time, when you have to look at the execution of what was done, right? And her intention, like she had already landed that switch 9 at the bottom of the pipe and was riding across, not intending to link that to another trick. Like her run was done. So essentially she slipped on a banana peel in the flat bottom after she had already like completed the full link of tricks that she was going to do. So it's kind of like, I don't know, think about like skating, a street league run, like someone does a perfect run and then is running back up the ramp and falls down. And then that gets counted against you. That's kind of the way that I was looking at it. It wasn't like she was landed and was like, There was no indication that she was committing her edge to doing something on the next wall. She was already mid, like, open arm, are you not entertained claim, and fell over.
100%. And I think if you look at the podium, you had Sarah Shimizu first. She's only 15 years old. Then Zutong Kai, and then Mitsuku Ono. And then Chloe didn't even get, like, I think you could make an argument for, putting her in second or third, but to not make the podium, I thought was a bit egregious.
I just think it's like, if you're pushing all this talk about progression and, the future of the sport and what is it and, like, what do we want? Well, Chloe delivered, it's just weird how I just think it comes back to, like, I'm like the broken record with the judges now, like, after that whole thing in the 2002 Beijing thing, like, but I'll be the dude, right? Like, I'll be the guy who calls people out on shitty judging, and eventually everyone's going to fucking hate me that gets a check in the judges stand. But literally nobody else is going to do it. The riders can't do it, because if they say anything, that it'll be the grudges, right? Like, the grudges will be against them, and they won't get the points because, the judges will be pissed. But, like, literally nobody else is saying anything that will make an impact.
Do you know who the judges are?
I have no idea. They switch up every weekend. Like, you kind of have to go through like this thing where you train to be a judge. I'm not really sure what that is. It used to be staying up all night on cocaine. I'm not sure if it's the same now. But I think maybe it's a little bit more regimented at this point.
Oh, nice burn. Nice burn. That one hit. That was great.
Was that out loud? I don't know if that was out loud. No, I'm kidding. Most of them didn't.
You know what my take is too with this whole thing though, that like, all right, well, as a person who watched it, I just remember, kind of objectively being like, wow, it seems like Chloe Kim did the best run to me, just like kind of not really deeply analyzing it. But at the end of the day, when there's controversy, whatever it is, I still think it's good for the sport. We're talking about something. At least we're interested. At least there's a subject. At least there's something to latch on to. Like, in some ways, as much as the judges are, getting shit on, they're doing their best. But at least we're talking about something. The worst is indifference, And I think it's good it's actually good for the sport when there's a little bit of controversy.
I think so. And, just like this week, Egan. What was the judging like for the X Games rail jam? Was it on point?
I think for the snowboarding it was better than for the skiing. I think the skiing had some blowouts in it.
Really? How did you do?
I didn't podium, but I also didn't. I didn't have a podium performance.
Did Iris win? Is that right? Or she got podium, right?
She won, as she should have.
Yeah, she kind of dominated.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, duh.
Did you watch that live stream by chance? Did you watch the live stream?
I didn't. I was living in the Newark airport at that point. I got stuck in the Newark airport for 2 days. It was fucking awesome. United Airlines can suck a fat one. So I didn't actually get to see the competition, but I think that's kind of that venue is pretty cool to do a rail comp, I think.
No comment.
It was.
Sorry, we just covered it.
Do you think it was a good rail course?
No, I didn't. I mean, I am only comparing it to Dew Tour. Remember, like, how that Dew Tour course was? Did you like that one, or was that one whack too?
No, this one was better, but they were both pretty whack.
You know what? I got a take on this too. What we were talking about earlier is it's called street style, and generally in street style, you think you're hiking like an island with some good rails that you would find in the streets. Where this felt a little slope stylish, but I got a take that really, if I was a rider in this, that would really get me is like, put some skirting on the rails, like all those transfer rails. If your board goes underneath the tubes, that's a broken femur. Like, look at Marcus Cleveland at Dew Tour 3 years ago. Does it kill you to go to Home Depot and get some 1/4-inch plywood and throw it under there? Like, hell, 1/2 inch, just throw some ply. You know what I mean?
Chris, do you know the price of plywood these days? You might as well be asking for half of the prize purse to be put on the side of the rails.
It's true.
I mean, good Lord.
Yeah. Okay, well, I have some other competitive analysis. The men's half pipe was a barn burner of a showdown. Ayumu shot out of a cannon. I think they got it right with that. I would say. And then Yuto got second, and then Ruka was doing the McTwist. I don't know if it's switch double McTwist 1080 with the Japan or tuck knee. That thing is the best.
Yeah,
trick
he would.
What is that?
Yeah, it's switchback 10 where he kind of like does like a pelvic thruster in the middle of it and kind of like stalls it for a split second. That shit is so cool. Like when riders can do that, I think it's just like the ultimate control, over things. And then, like you said, like Ayumu wins, but I honestly like Ayumu's going through the motions, and that's his style. But it's also like you can tell, like doesn't really want to do a fucking triple 14. It's just like I got to do this to win this comp, Like he's like we all saw it when he did Dew Tour last year and was like having a way better time doing like 30-foot high airs to fakie. Like I feel like that's where they want to be, and everyone is like forced to do like weekend tricks, and it sucks because you're only doing those tricks on the weekends. You're not doing them on a weekday. No fucking way.
I did like that jam they had after Dew Tour last year. Like it was like a pipe contest, and then everybody just jammed, and that was really fun. We made fun of Clavin for missing the photo. Question though, Scotty James, 4th place. I know that could be debated. Do you have a take? Do you think the judges got it right on the podium for men's halfpipe?
I think Scotty could have been slotted in there. I think that Scotty's he's falling victim to the same thing that Chloe has been. Like people, I don't know, like the collective consciousness of it is like, has decided that maybe Scotty's time at number 1 it's time to slide to the side. But that's not reality, because if you think about like who is capable of doing the switch McTwist rewind in that whole field at that height that he did it into, the back 12, like literally nobody. So you have to think about like the combos that Scotty's doing. I still think that 270 into the pipe, full rail engagement straight up into because that trick is being done at like 15 feet high. And no one has cracked that code yet. So I think, maybe Scotty should have been, in my eyes, like 3rd at least, if not 2nd place, just based on what went down. But, it's so tight in there because now you're splitting hairs. Like, what did Yuto do? Well, Yuto starts his run with a switchback 12. Scotty ended his run with a switchback 12. It is, it's a wild time to be a half pipe competitor. I can tell you that much. And, I do not envy any of these kids right now who have to put their lives on the line every single weekend.
100%. And I think it's really in a good place. It's really fun to watch. Like the tricks, this is the first time in my life I've been watching somebody drop into a half pipe and be like, I hope nobody dies or gets seriously injured, because this is like serious. Like the triple corks, and Scotty's got a triple cork that he unveiled earlier this year, so he could potentially go front 14 cab triple into I don't know which way he'd land. I guess he'd land regular, but if he incorporated a switchback 12 into cab triple into, there's some pretty crazy lines that these people are going to start to put together on the way to the Olympics.
Yeah, no, these lines are incredible. It's like these, and we have 2 years before it's time. So we don't know what's going to happen to Lil Kitaki, Chalon, how do you say his name? Chalon Lee, the young kid from Korea.
We call him Lil Kitaki. Keep it easy.
Yeah, Lil Kitaki. That kid, I think, is the next one that we're going to be looking at, because he's young and he does not give a shit about landing on his head. Mm-hmm. So it's like the future of this is wild. I get really nervous these days when I kind of watch people drop in, and I'm not going to lie. Like I know Ayumu is probably going to land every time he tries a triple 14 because there's no other choice. But part of me thinks like if you got spit the wrong way out the top of the wall as you were committing to dipping your shoulder 3 times, you're dead, dude.
Yes.
Like you're seriously dead.
100%.
So I don't know. I'm going like 3 or 4 feet out of the pipe, and I'm really happy personally.
Same.
So, you know, I'm just gonna leave it there. I'm gonna leave it there.
One other thing I just want to touch on when I'm looking at, I think Ayumu really is the key, the saving grace, the best part of the half pipe world right now, because he's fucking reminds me of Danny Cass back in the day. He's got dreadlocks. He's kind of a punk. He's cool. He looks cool. Like you see him off hill, he's like, you're like, God, that guy's cool as hell. Like he's not, you know, no offense to some of the, like, you know, some of the other competitors that, if you're to look at their rosters, you wouldn't be of sponsors, you wouldn't be sure if they're like a ski racer or like a, you know, tennis player or whatever. Like, you know, Ayumu is like this saving the cool in half pipe snowboarding just by the way he looks and the tricks he does and keeping that allure there where it's not too conventional sports-esque, you could say.
Yeah, and I mean, dude, look, he's got a style that looks like someone just told him his puppy was killed. Like he's just so relaxed, like, or not relaxed, but almost like depressed.
I don't know about that analogy. That's like seems like something.
Okay, that was a horrible analogy. Very bad.
I don't think
but he definitely has got an emo stee. You know, he's like staring at his feet, like full shoegaze snowboard style. Like he's just like, you know, like I would rather be somewhere else doing something else. And that's how Danny Cass was too. Like, didn't Danny's style used to be like, he could be doing anything. Like it looked like he'd rather be doing something else.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's so sick to watch because every time that Ayumu like leaves the lip, like you're guaranteed that he ain't grabbing the toe of his boot. Like everything is so tight and so concise. And when he lands, it's right below the coping. And it's wonderful to watch someone like that tapped in. And then you think about like how good he skates. It's crazy.
100%.
It's crazy. I love it.
Hands in the pockets. His hands don't go above his belt line the entire time he's doing the half pipe run. It's fantastic.
You guys don't like the analogy of like they took the dog out behind the shed?
No. I picture somebody that's
old
just
Yeller.
No.
You know, like old Yeller style? Oh man, I've been using that for years. Maybe I need to tune up my program.
I'd say like tranquilizer dart to the neck, maybe maybe he took some Tylenol PM before he dropped in, and you know he's ready to fall asleep.
Yeah,
but
narcoleptic.
Narcoleptic. But hey, good analysis, Todd. Any other topics?
Great.
Before we let you go, we got Bryan here. Last time I think you made fun of him pretty good at some point. Do you want to roast Bryan at all or anything? Or
Hi, Todd.
What? Hi, Bryan.
What if you went Matt Damon Goodwill Hunting? I'd say is probably better.
What do you mean?
Like Matt Damon Goodwill.
Do you have any idea how easy this is for me?
I think
You know
that's
how fucking easy this is for me?
Yeah, that's a good reference.
So,
yep.
Wouldn't it be? I think we need someone like a personality like that at the top of the pipe or the slope style. Yeah. Just looking at everyone else and saying that out loud.
What do you think about how
fucking easy this is for me?
What do you think about the pipe contest just being done?
What do you mean?
Just
like we're not going to have any more?
Yeah, like they've like run their course.
Absolutely not. They're at their best they've ever been. They're the funnest to watch right now.
Yeah.
I think this guy said this is coming from a guy who said he hasn't watched X Games in 18 years, so just kind of eliminate any of his analysis.
Hey, this is my I know. Bryan is very jaded. It's very jaded.
I don't think that's jaded at all. So you guys have been complaining about it for 20 minutes. That sounds jaded.
20 minutes, 20 years, Bryan. It's been 20 fucking years I've been complaining about half pipe. Listen, here's my idea for a pipe tour. You guys ready for this? Because I really think it's got some legs. So it's a pipe tour, but the pipes, they vary in size. It's like the Van skate park tour. Like what you show up to skate is what you get. And, so it's like the same thing with pipe. Like one weekend could be a psycho 22-foot at Copper. The next weekend, it's like an 18-foot, pipe somewhere else.
8 foot.
Or 8. dude, I'm telling you, like, I feel like the adaptability of these riders, like, you would see some truly entertaining riding if you took someone like Ayumu and put him in, like, the pipe at Woodward Park City.
I'll tell you,
Like, and they had to.
the
they had to
8-foot
try.
pipe, the 8-foot pipe, Louis Vito's going to shine. He's going to absolutely shine in that thing.
Right, so everybody gets a chance, you know, like in Vans Park Series, not every park was made for Pedro Barros, you know, so you'd have like different people come in there and they would show different sets of skills or different tricks in their bag because they would be able to adapt. It's whoever is the best at riding all different sizes of transitions. And, you know, that's like an overall, like, to be like the best in half pipe doesn't mean the best in a 22. It means the best in riding transition. And I think like that's why like super pipe is so boring to a lot of people, because it's like, look, I can call everyone's run before they do it at the next contest. I already know what's going to happen. So that's boring.
Agreed.
You know,
Give
Todd,
us something crazy.
it kills me to say this. That's a great fucking idea, Todd.
It is a great idea. Now, with all the smelling salts that you morons are selling over there, you should easily be able to like put this thing on with a fat prize purse.
Maybe they're the ones to do it. And
Everyone
you know,
has to wear the helmet.
you have to wear that helmet. Yeah, you know what though, Todd? You do the Legends division first. You know, you get you and Chad O duking it out. That's what I want to see. You know?
No, Legends division always lasts because you don't want to run to the hospital before the event even starts. No one needs to be going in the meat wagon out before, like, you know, competitors meeting is barely over and there's already someone sliding down the pipe like a, you know, it's just like a wet noodle.
All right, Todd, it's been a great conversation. Thanks, as always, for calling in.
Merry Christmas. I'd like to remind everyone that my birthday is on the 28th, so if you guys were holding back on getting me stuff, then now's the time. You got some more days, and
How old are you turning?
Comes out.
Yeah, how old are you turning?
36. You only turn 36 like 7 or 8 times, so I'm going to take advantage of it this year.
All right, well, happy holidays, happy birthday, Todd. We'll talk to you soon.
Love you guys. Talk to you soon.
Love you, brother. Later. Wow, that was fantastic. I remember Todd said something about your sticker job last time. He was talking about Bryan, how he's just like, he talks about how Bryan draws the all the logos on his board, and he's like, I'm Bryan. I'm weird. I draw my logos on the board. Try to figure me out. Bet you can't. Bet you can't.
Yeah, I had a lot of people send me that. I was like, yeah.
Bri, if they move to that Todd format, would you break your 18-year no-watching streak, or are you still off the sauce?
I'd probably, yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting at least to see people ride different size half pipes, I guess. I think it's just hard. Competitive snowboarding, and especially at that level, is really difficult now that everyone is so, I guess, good, but more just like rehearsed. You know, that you're like, I don't feel like I'm witnessing magic anymore, really. Like maybe 20 years ago, what I was saying is it did feel like you might be like,
Dude, you also haven't watched anything. I hate to say this, but like, I'm telling you, this is my other take. I'm going to say this. It's cool to care. Okay. Like I
really fucking care. I really care. I think you'd be hard pressed to argue I don't care.
Yeah, that's true. You care. I'll give you that.
I'm just saying that the format, the judging, the sponsorship, the whole appearance, who it's made for, I'm assuming our interaction right now is based on probably some sort of sponsorship that is coming in for the show.
What are you talking about?
Like, do you guys get money from X Games or something?
Not at all.
We've been talking shit the whole time.
Well, I don't know.
We get money from X Games. I said it was the biggest bullshit broadcast I've ever seen. Like,
okay,
what are you talking?
Okay. You're right. Yeah. I just mean, okay. I care. I'm just. It isn't. You guys are talking personally. The intricacies of all this shit that really exemplifies that those contests are not for you to watch. They're this mass produced, like we try and make it totally digestible to a random person to compete with normal sports that are easy to digest. And this is a very complicated, very complex, very nuanced thing that we do that is very hard to explain to people. So when you put it on these big stages, it's really easy to be like, this is bad. This isn't right. That's incorrect. That's bad judging. That's shitty commentary. That's a bad course. And you almost feel like when we say that, you're like, of course, everyone in the room is going to agree with us as long as we're talking to each other. Yet it keeps happening because it's like, who the fuck puts it on? Why isn't Todd more involved in these things?
See, I mean, I'm going to just shoot a couple holes in your theory here because
Please do.
I
I
think
love
that, for me, as much as we've been talking shit on this stuff, right? I watch it all because I actually love watching it. Like it is actually really fun to watch the people that have chosen to say, hey, I'm going to be the best snowboarder in the world in this discipline. I'm going to do the tricks that are the hardest that you can possibly do. Look, if I could go 18, 21, 18 in slopestyle course, I would be doing it. But I'm not physically capable of doing that because it's really fucking hard. It's really, really difficult. So these people that have chosen to go down this path that's like, I'm going to be the baddest half-pipe snowboarder in the world, and I'm going to launch a triple cork 22 feet out of this half-pipe, which is so dangerous and so gnarly. And like for me, when I watch it, I get excited. I get fired up. I think it's actually a really fun thing to watch. So that's why we're talking about it. Yeah, we're shooting holes in the things we don't like about it. But I really think that competitive half-pipe is really exciting to watch. More so than slopestyle. I think women's slopestyle is really at its peak right now. And that one's really fun to watch. And half-pipe altogether as well. But yeah, there are room for improvement in some areas. But the reason why we're talking about it, it's like everybody's like, going back to my point, like, I don't care, man. I don't care they spin too much. I don't care that this. It's like, I think it's cool to care. Like caring about stuff and getting excited about it is cool. That's my rant.
That's fair.
It's cool to care.
I got a Switzerland opinion.
Okay.
So, mad respect to the people riding halfpipe, like the edge control that it takes to be able to keep your speed and air out of a 22-foot pipe, whatever size it is nowadays, is insane. But I think that for people watching it, it's gone so far that it doesn't really represent snowboarding. It's at this level where it's like, dude, like that's like acrobatics. Like that's like watching somebody skydive or something. Like for the person who's never snowboarded before, they're like, oh, I can't do that and don't want to do that. It would be sick, and maybe it's via Todd's format, but it'd be sick if there was something that was like a little bit more relatable, You even watched the 2002 halfpipe contest, and it was insane. They're airing 15, 20 feet out. Ross Powers does that psycho method, but like, something about it made it just look a little bit more tangible than it does right now. And that mad respect to like, furthering the sport and one more rotation and all of that. And then also the guys that bring more style and ladies that bring more style into it. But it definitely doesn't give the like normal person who's thinking about snowboarding the like vibe of what snowboarding actually is.
I don't necessarily see a half-pipe contest and say like, that makes me want to go into a 20-foot, like 22-foot half pipes are terrifying. Mm-hmm. Just getting to the coping is like, whoa. So yes, to see them going twice that out into the air and doing a 14, 18, whatever, incredible. I agree. Further the sport, do the spin, whatever. But to have the vein that is relatable and like, I don't know. I can't tell the difference between any spins if it's past a 10. Like, there's no shot that I see what's happening and I can be like, 12, 14, 16, 18. Like, no, I can't.
Super hard.
I can't, like,
crazy hard.
Insane. And so, to a certain degree, like, I don't want to see the biggest spin. I want to see a new trick. Like, let's see somebody do something else in the air or, like, I don't know, like, something we haven't seen that isn't just one more spin. Mm-hmm. I think that as snowboarders and as we expand as a sport, we're broader than that and we can do more than that.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a great take.
I mean, I also think a couple of years ago, Danny did a really good job at representing, like he like left competitive pipe riding, Danny Davis. Not left it, but kind of like he definitely inserted himself into like almost every form. I kind of say that like I now, especially being old and looking at it almost from like afar, I look at him like, oh, I think Danny Davis might be like our best professional. Of like, he's just dipped his toes into all these different areas, basically has no haters in any of them. He keeps a pretty high level of care for each part of it, you know, of being like, okay, I respect that. I see how this is going. I see like the edge of it is these guys, whether it be pipe or rails or backcountry or film and video parts or putting on his events or something. And I feel like, yeah, maybe 5 years ago when he went back into the contest and was doing a bunch of switch methods and kind of just like Mick Twist again. And I think he was getting, you know, kind of a lot of love because it was this like, it was almost punk to be like, oh, he's not really playing their game. And then he started getting judged really well. And you're like, oh, this is like kind of tight. Maybe the contests themselves are going like, oh, this is good for our viewers to like this. Mm-hmm. And it just feels like that happened, and then it kind of just went like, yeah, or fuck it, we go 18. You know, like
100%. And I will play devil's advocate as somebody that watches everything, and there is some of that happening right now. Like as we mentioned earlier, Chloe Kim does a back 3 nose grab into like a 15-foot switch method.
Totally.
Scotty Janes drops in and does a switch McTwist and then pulls it back to regular. And there are things, the guy, I can't remember if it's Yuto or, Ruka. He goes switch like double 1080, but he grabs tuck knee and yoinks it. Like he's doing a 1080 and giving it a beautiful poke. So I think that there is some of that. I think it's up to the judges to reward that, to see what direction our snowboarding goes, right? Like where is...
Do you think it like has any effect on the direction of snowboarding anyways, or just the direction of
competitive snowboarding
like,
specifically? Yeah.
You know, I guess that's the hard part is we're almost like talking about different things.
Yeah, competitive snowboarding is almost its own pillar.
Silo,
it's like its own silo. It's like a different sport.
Like
totally.
if you relate it to music, there'd be like bands who make music and you go, I don't know why I like it. I just like it. I don't care how difficult it is. And then there's like a guitar solo contest where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe how fast his fingers move. Like, that's incredible. And like, they're like, the Ramones suck. And the Ramones are like, what? What are you doing? You have a guitar solo contest? Like, nobody gives a fuck.
It's a good analogy. I think if somebody wants to go out and do the hardest thing you can possibly do on your snowboard, go let them. Like, what's the problem in that?
I still don't. I mean, do you think it's the hardest thing you could possibly do on your snowboard?
That's where I'm at. Is the hardest thing just to spin as hard as you can, or is it to do like the
The answer is yes. The answer is fucking yes. I'm telling you.
No, but like, what if you did like a triple rodeo or something? Is that harder than doing an 18?
I mean, technically it's more rotations. Yeah, like triple rodeos, it's 3 backflips and a 180, and these guys are doing like, the point being is like, even to do a 900 with a shifty, like if you've ever seen these competitive people snowboard in person, you want to talk about style, you talk about this, like when they do a trick under 900 or 540s, they're beautiful. You don't get to 1800. You don't just wake up and you go 180, 1800. Like you have to go 360,
I don't think it's the hardest thing to do in snowboarding.
Like, okay.
And I'm going to say it because of the amount of people who are doing it and the amount of practice that they do to do it in comparison to pretty much most of the things being done in Alaska, which can never be rehearsed.
Good point.
Can never be practiced, can never be studied. You have no coaches. You pretty much have to on-site everything. You have full risk of death. The amount of years it takes to mentally get to like a Travis Rice level of like mountain understanding and decision making in like the most like minuscule momentary decision making, I think for me personally, I would consider that like a lot more difficult than just being like, oh, I'm going to practice this pipe pretty much year round, go to these pipes that are built exactly like the one that's going to be at the X Games, wherever there's a glacier. It's very fucking dangerous. And I'm not saying it's not difficult, but I think it's a little bit of a weird statement to say that's the hardest thing you could do on a snowboard.
I think it's a great counterpoint, Bri. That's a fucking definitely nailed it, But just because you practice something a bunch to do it doesn't make it any less hard. You still have to, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
fucking hard. I mean, I also like, I sit on here and obviously, like, probably sounds disrespectful. I have crazy respect for what's getting done in those contests, and I feel bad about saying I don't watch them, but just generally as like a consumer of snowboarding, they lost me a long time ago.
Yep.
And half of it probably is just the announcers, where you're just like, these dudes are fucking dorks. I don't want to listen to them.
Well, dude, in X Games in '98, like last time you watched it, was like punk rock, you know? But like, I remember watching it as a kid and being like, oh, damn, like the jumps are sketchy. Like there's these pros who I watched their video parts, you know, like you got Sean Palmer there. Like it was crazy. And that's like, it has lost that a little bit. But to Grenier's point, it's like, dude, you watch some of those like contest aficionados just snowboard and do like a front three over a big jump, and you're just so impressed. But how do we highlight that talent? You know, like how can you change the format? And I think it's like, it's an age-old question. Like, do you go, oh, you can't do over a 720? I don't know. It kind of seems weird.
I just think you let the contest people fucking go bananas, and then you do your lane. That's it, right?
I challenge that though, because I feel like Rene has been trying to do in the big air.
Yep.
I think he's been trying to do not the biggest spin, but the most tech thing, and he has not gotten the results for it.
I agree.
And to be spending all of that time and energy and money going to all of these events, to be like trying something else, putting your life on the line, and have nothing in return for it, like, yeah, fuck that. I'm not going to compete anymore type of attitude.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. Like, I remember watching X Games and LAAX Open and being like, Rene got completely hosed. And again, these are objective or these are subjective rather opinions. And you know, I wouldn't want to be a judge right now. I mean, we give them a lot of shit, but fucking challenging job. And you know, they got a million coaches with iPads yelling at them from every country, and it's, you know, there's a dark side to it too. But
judging's super fucking hard.
Yeah,
I judged for Travis's contest 2 years ago, and it is a wild experience for sure, where you like, you know, all the people, all those judges know every one of the snowboarders too. So, you know, so you're like, that was my hard thing, where like, how do you actually come into this and be like, what is fair? And that actually made me hate contests, where you're like, yeah, it's just these like 4 or 5 dudes in there just deciding in a minute, maybe 30 seconds of just like, it's like, Egan, we're going Egan. Egan's got, let's make it 91 because Irish got a 90. We need Egan to win. That's a 91.
yeah, totally.
But anyway.
Well, we talked a lot about contests. I think we've covered it. What do you guys think? Any
I'm
other?
over it.
Yeah.
I'm done talking about
Yeah,
contests.
yeah. I think clearly.
I fucking love it.
But you had a great counterpoint about the Alaska thing. I thought that was really valid. All right, big news coming at you from the bomb hole. CAPiTA has launched their whole new collection. All of the new boards are available now, so check them out. Now, of course, you got staples like the DOA. Everyone loves that thing. Everyone loves the Black Snowboard of Death. Coquard's been putting a beat down on jumps with that thing for years. And then if you're a female, the Birds of a Feather is beloved. That board is awesome. I'm also hearing the newcomers to CAPiTA are loving the Aeronaut, the Megadeth, and the Spring Break Resort Twin. You might see Joey Fava crab walking down the hill on that thing, putting a beat down on the steel. He makes that thing look awesome. And for me personally, I love the Navigator. When it comes to riding powder, riding the resort, I ride the 161 or the 164. It's huge, but it's soft. That's what I love about it. It's a big board, but you can still have fun on it. You can still maneuver it around. So the CAPiTA Navigator would be my recommendation for powder. And then for park, I love the Indoor Survival. Can't go wrong. Great board for presses, great board for park jumps. It's fantastic. And the one thing about CAPiTA that I think is really special is that their factory is handmade in Austria with 100% clean energy. All the boards are handmade, 100% clean energy. Can't go wrong. They're world-class production over there. They make great snowboards. So check out their new website, capitasnowboards.com, or your local snowboard shop, and see if you see anything you like. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Let's talk about bindings. Let's talk about Union Binding Co. I personally think they make the best bindings on the market. I'm biased, but I think that would be the general consensus amongst most snowboarders. We're talking buttery smooth ratchets. We're talking lots of adjustability. But most importantly, I love the clean look. Draplin did the logo years ago, and it is strong. I run the white Union Force Classics on some black pants. I think it just looks timeless, personally. But you can't go wrong with any binding in the line. You know, they have a stacked team of riders. We're talking Travis Rice. We're talking Arthur Longo, Kazuhiro Kahubo, Austin Viz, Jess Kimura. The list goes on of just very talented snowboarders, and it's a company that's owned by snowboarders. It's snowboarders that care about this lifestyle we call snowboarding, and they invest in it, and they make great products. So if you're interested in getting yourself a pair of bindings, check out unionbindingcompany.com. Check out their whole line. You won't be disappointed. All right, we're going to talk about Turtlebox. They actually gave us turtle boxes for you guys. They are speakers. The one thing I love about these things is you can link them together, little daisy chain action. We got bomb hole turtle box. They are extremely loud. They have up to 20 hours of battery life. They're waterproof, and I keep one in my house, and I blast it all the time. They actually seriously are incredibly loud. So you don't have to keep them on the table. That seems like you guys are getting blocked, but yeah.
I have one of these things. They're amazing.
You like it?
Yeah, I have it in my house in the forest. I listen to random like meditations or some shit.
Dude, I'll tell you this, 20 plus hours of battery life. I've got one. I still am yet to charge it. It's pretty fantastic.
Great for forest bathing.
Yeah.
Absolutely great for.
Also,
And they float.
why don't we talk about this for a second? Let's derail. Bri, you told me last time I was at your house that you live in a pretty remote area and you tend to just walk around naked, dong out. Is that facts, or where are we at with that?
Yeah, that's the truth.
Sell me on walking around naked.
I mean, I'm not gonna sell you on walking around naked. I feel like there's probably either way, but I could sell you on you should walk around barefoot.
Okay.
I don't really care. You should also wear only cotton underwear. You don't want to have any sort of like.
This is getting a pretty extensive list.
Absolutely,
What
yeah.
about the stretch, brother?
I don't care. Anything plastic against the boys is very bad for your reproductive system.
I'll tell you, mine's working just fine. Just had a kid, brother.
He's like, lug nut, fixed it.
All good.
No, I don't know. I just like being naked, and or maybe being naked is more like a representation of a little bit of privacy. Like living in a home in the woods is like feels refreshing to just be like, I don't have to like change. I don't have to change. Like in the morning, if I wake up naked, make coffee, walk outside, it's not like, oh shit, I don't want the neighbor to see me. It might be disrespectful to them or something. You know, so it's more just like I probably like the fact that I'm on my own out there in a way that you're just like,
Do you imagine yourself as an otter? Like you get to your truest otter form walking around?
Okay. Looks like we're going to move on from this subject from here. We're going to get into viral clips we've seen on the internet that are kind of related to snowboarding. But they're... What do we want to start with? Why don't we start with the guy that was snowboarding down the hill and ran over a bear? Let's play this clip. Have you guys seen this? Okay, this guy's cruising, bear, boom.
No.
I believe that's an Insta 360 film in that too. So coming in, here comes a bear running across the trails, buddy, boom.
Oh, where is
that's
that?
not real.
What do you mean that's not? That is definitely, that looks pretty real to me.
No, this is fully doctored.
Okay, so
AI?
this is not a fun section anymore now that Bryan has sucked the fun out of that. Let's go to the next clip.
Hold on. Do we believe this to be real? I can totally.
Where's the bear now?
Yeah.
Well, okay. So,
Silk, get my back on this. Is this real?
Why would
No,
they?
the shadows of the bear is looking pretty legit to me.
Yeah, Silk would be able to make this.
Look at the shadow of the bear. In comparison to the sign, I mean that's pretty legit if somebody doctored this up.
I mean,
The shadow's good.
I mean, a bear
The
could
shadow's
absolutely
legit.
run
I
across.
do also like where the fuck does that go?
Yeah, where's the
Where's
bear?
the bear go?
Dude, he's in a Whiteout Productions.
Keep going.
So
Then they get up. There's no bear on the side. Where'd the bear go? All the thing clears. There's a person back there.
Okay. Maybe it's fake. I'm bought in. I'm 100% sold that that's real. What's our next clip, Silk? What do we got?
I'm here
Baby
for the
bear.
conspiracies.
Yeah, okay. Good luck debunking this one.
Yeah.
This one's fucking real.
Silk, why don't you narrate what's happening here?
This is actual footage of Bryan at Baldface.
That is Griffin Siebert.
Straight up.
Yeah, this is Griffin. He ripped his nose open on a Cliff Bar. He's coming inside.
So this is a person for the listeners that don't have the visuals on the screen. It's somebody walking into a lodge, strapped in, one-footed, straight across the stone ground. And yeah, it's pretty fantastic stuff right there.
You know, I have something for you guys. I've been seeing some debate, some discourse online about people talking about pushing like this on a snowboard. Foot in front. They're like, when you skate, that's how you do it. And then there's people like, well, you're snowboarding. So, and for the record, I don't think anybody should be pushing like this, but
I push like that.
you push like
same.
that?
Yeah.
You push like that?
I go back and forth. It depends. Like if I'm pushing for a long time, I do some in front.
Yeah.
And I do some behind, but I push both ways.
Depends on terrain or just mood.
Dude, but this guy is back foot in front of the front foot. That is straight knee dislocation. You're not pushing like that, are you?
No, but I don't always just push behind my
I am.
I'm pretty sure
Ian's just going, yes.
I think
got
his
healthy
pants
knees?
got caught in his step-ons. That's what happened. He needs the jaws of life to get him out straight up, dude.
Does that happen? Tell us the truth.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah.
No, yeah,
So
it
you're
does.
saying
I mean,
his foot got stuck in his binding? You think
his
this
foot
what
got
happened?
stuck in the step-ons. Did you see Milo post it? It happens. Not often.
But it does.
Wow.
Well, that's why they got the little pant clip on it, which honestly, the like product itself is great, but like, yeah, that definitely happens. And to get somebody out of it is like, it's pretty tough. You got to cut the pants for the most part. You can like pry it, but
Damn.
pretty sure that's what happened.
Okay, wow,
Crazy.
another
Crazy.
debunk.
Yeah,
We're
all
just
right.
debunking everything right now.
All right, Egan, it's your turn to debunk this one.
Oh my god.
Why don't you narrate what's happening for the people that can't see what's on the screen?
Okay, it's a beautiful day. We have a snowboarder coming in. They pop and dink right. They tap. They give somebody a tail tap and a back one right on their forehead. It looks like, and they hit a little limbo backwards and bounce right back up. They don't even hit the ground.
A little whiplash of the neck on that, huh?
It's really hard to tell if it was on purpose or not. It looks like they're getting a video.
Yeah, I think that was intentional.
It's a little Canute Eliason right there.
Yeah, that is.
Does homie got a helmet on?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a fan of that clip. I think we should definitely encourage head bonks. I'm definitely a fan.
We can reenact that one if you want.
Have
I'll
you
take
guys,
it to the dome.
you wear a helmet now?
I do.
You wear a helmet? Other than the Tyrannosaurus Rex
The
or whatever?
raptor.
The raptor?
I do not.
No. You wear a helmet?
Just when like splitboarding.
No.
Sometimes.
The answer would be no.
In Alaska, everybody runs one in Alaska. Though you like roll out without a helmet, people are like, you can die here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I was just asking. I don't wear a helmet, and it definitely has become like you're in the lift line. You're like, oh yeah, holy shit.
Feel a little naked without it.
A little naked.
Yeah.
Every single human.
You got a pretty big dome though, don't you?
That's what I feel like.
That's my vibe too.
Nature gave me a helmet.
Yeah. Well,
They
yeah.
don't fit.
I got a thick skull, tiny brain. No, just kidding. Helmets are great.
Speaking of giant skull and giant forehead, I think we should get into Nitro turbo takes that are presented by Canute Eliason. You guys know? Do you guys familiar with Canute?
And his
Yeah.
forehead?
Brian,
A nugget?
Brian, do you know him?
I do know him well. Yeah, he's a wonderful man.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Welcome to Nitro Turbo Takes!
Brought to you by Nitro Snowboards and Canute Eliason. Nitro Snowboards has been building snowboard products, boards, boots, and bindings for over 34 years and has one simple mission: to inspire people to get out and go snowboarding and support their local and global community by supporting the shops, the organizations, and the people who are dedicating their lives to this.
Okay.
All right. Are we ready? Everybody ready? First question is an all play. This is for everybody. We'll go around the horn. Everyone give an answer. What do you want for Christmas? Start with Brian over here.
I don't want anything. I just want to spend time with my family.
I definitely
Kind
want
of a
golf
cop
clubs.
out, yeah.
I don't. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean that as a cop out. I just like. I don't want anything.
I want a first aid kit because they're expensive.
Cash, brother.
Beautiful. Trev, we're going back to you for this one. What was your golf handicap at the end of summer?
Lowest I got, I was a 5. I'm probably like a 9 right now. But handicap's interesting, though, because it's not just the average of all your scores. If you set it up through the USGA, they basically take your outlier scores. So if you go and, maybe you go and hit Alan Jackson one night, and then you go to the Westerner, and then you play against Grenier, and you lose.
You lose, yes, you lose. To me.
Was
Those
that
scores don't count.
That was a couple of excuses running into the
For
loss.
sure. He called me out on it, and I'm like...
I have a follow-up question, and this could be good for our listeners, like some actionable advice. How do you cope with a devastating loss on the golf course to your friend Chris?
It only matters what happens in Game 7, folks. MJ lost a couple games on the way to 6 or 5 rings or however many it was. It only matters what happens in Game 7.
No, you see that Tom Brady quote? You probably love this, where he's just like, people ask me about my favorite win. He's like, goes total psychopath. He's like, don't care. I don't even remember the wins. I only remember the losses.
That's basically Bone. That's basically Bone.
Brady's got like
Out of my
picture
mind.
of your face.
I got in the truck and I drove home and I just started on the next week.
Bone, don't lose to me. I'm a sore winner, dude. You don't want to lose to me.
I'm down. I don't like to lose to some people. I actually hate losing, but I'm down to lose to Grenier, dude. He needs one every once in a while. I just take his money all summer long. I feel bad. I'm like, Claire, we don't have to play straight up. Like, I'll give you a couple strokes, but every time he's like, no, we're playing straight up. I don't mess with that shit.
I've given him a couple bucks this summer. All right, what else we
All
got,
right,
Silk?
next question. Egan, what is your go-to trick at a contest?
Board slide pretzel.
Boardside pretzel. Okay, Brian, how many boards with your name on it have you had with Nitro?
Oof. I don't know. I think I've ridden for him, for 18 years. The first maybe, 8 of them, maybe 100 or something, maybe 150 or something, 120.
How are those royalty checks looking?
But that's also you guys don't remember this because they're good.
Can we get a look at the royalty report on that?
Yeah.
They were at the time, 18 years ago, pro models had kind of gone away for most companies, but Nitro held it down. They a lot of people would have pro models even back then, and you would get your own pro model that you could design, and then they had kind of how Baker or Girl would have art series where you'd also get a pro model inside of an art series where they'd get an artist to do everyone gets a pro model with the same art direction. So for a lot of the first years, you'd get a couple pro models every year, basically if you just rode for Nitro. And then obviously with the Quiver, it just kept growing. But yeah.
So the royalties? Go ahead.
Can I hit a follow-up on that?
Yeah.
What's your favorite graphic?
Good question.
3 inches of blood?
No. That was Austin. It was 3 inches of blood.
Austin was 3 inches of blood. You had the campfire one.
No, mine, I think my favorite was I made a graphic with my brother out of duct tape.
That one was classic.
And
yeah.
they I don't know. I think now it's kind of gnarly to say, but I think back then when you did matte and gloss prints, they weren't as eco-conscious. So the matte and gloss was amazing, the contrast. So people literally, I would see them at the lodge, walk up to my board and feel the board thinking it was real duct tape. Even on the bottom, it looked so good. So yeah.
That's the best one. That's the correct answer. That one is really good.
Appreciate it.
All right, we got a question for Trev. What's the most important thing that companies should focus on right now for the future of snowboarding?
Participation. We got to get more people into snowboarding, basically. It was sick back in the day to drive up to Brighton at 8:45 on a POW day and get first spot in the lot, not going to lie. But yeah, participation, expanding our reach outside of affluent people who live by the mountains. It's easier said than done, but getting more people into snowboarding is the biggest thing that resorts, brands, pros, that's what we all need to be focusing on.
Yeah.
More resorts.
More resorts.
Good take.
All right, Chris, what stance do you think your son is going to have?
That's actually a good question.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hopefully, snowboard regular, skate goofy like his pops. Keep it easy. Actually, you know what? I take that back. Because if you teach him goofy, then I can ride face to face with him. So maybe he'll be goofy. I don't care. I'm just happy I got a healthy child.
Aw.
That's a cop-out.
Okay, Bryan, you've been a pro rider for almost 2 decades. What single piece of advice would you give any up-and-coming am/new pro that would help them have a long career?
Oof. Good question.
This is Canute.
Yeah, he's
Canute
right.
asked that question. Shit, that's I don't know. It'd be hard now. It's a lot different than 20 years ago, obviously. Like, it was a different job than it is now. The kids that I see doing it well, most of it is a mixture between talent and work ethic, and making sure that they see the work side of it and also enjoying it, you know, like, but yeah, I don't know. It almost feels like a different job than at least when the two of us first started trying to have this job. But yeah, work hard, show up to work, make your boss look good. I mean, realistically, it's similar to every job on earth, which is just like, you will be rewarded by effort, basically. So
little Bill Belichick, do your job situation right there.
I don't know, like, yeah. You
pretty vague answer, to be honest with you.
You think?
Yeah.
You think so? I don't know.
Like if you're looking for advice,
you
don't
didn't say
really
anything. You said work hard.
Say anything.
Okay, well, yeah, okay. Fuck. I mean, fuck.
Thanks for the non-actionable advice. Yeah. Oh, work hard. Great. Nice.
Yeah, right now, if you want to have this for a job, you probably should care about accessing a customer directly, and trying to start to have some sort of rapport with them that they trust you. Because in the end, you are a middleman between a product and a customer. That's why you get paid. You don't get paid to be good. You get paid to tell a story. You get paid to be somebody that people believe. So yeah, probably find out if you want to do that for a job, because it's not, the job is not going to do tricks on a jump. And honestly, that's why a ton of those people in the halfpipe don't really have sponsors. It's because they're not really talking to anyone. They're just competing. So yeah, it is a vague answer. I'm sorry, but
no, that was better. That was very good.
That was better. Yeah, it's a little more specific. All right, next question, Egan. What got you into who got you into snowboarding, and where did it happen?
I would say my dad, but he was a skier. But snowboarders were just always so much sicker. But he actually taught me and my siblings how to snowboard. Anyway, that was at Breckenridge.
All right. We have an all play here.
Hold on. Sorry.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Your dad is a skier. At what point did you go, I ain't doing this? Like, how old were you? Like, sorry, Dad, your shit's kind of clown, and I'm going to...
I had 2 older siblings, and he did the same thing with all of us. We started skiing at 3 and then snowboarding at 6. So we had to learn both. And then from there, we could pick.
Oh,
and
so he kind of like
back.
he kind of was just like, what do you want to do?
Yeah, absolutely. Both of my siblings did both for a little bit before they picked one.
That's sick.
All right. This question's for everybody. Who is your current favorite snowboarder?
Emma Crosby.
Oh, Emma Crosby. Nice.
Sam Taxwood. I just love it, dude. I love the blue collar aspect. I like that first. There's like this intro clip in Screwdriver where he's like traversing across his massive face and he makes like one turn and I'm like, I can tell that's Sam. I mean, I also like the fact that like he has to work for it. Like it comes easy for him. He's so naturally talented, but I like when you watch a snowboarder who like you can tell that they're working for it. You know, you can tell that they haven't tried this trip a million times on a trampoline and know how to go around 3 times or whatever. Like, yeah, Sam.
Blue collar bad boy.
Right?
You go.
You know, this is biased, but I think Scott Stevens, being my friend, the thing I love about him is he's like going in his backyard and there's no snow on the ground. He's just jumping around on the grass on a flat bar, and he's like 40 years old. He's got 2 kids, and he's like literally like 12 still, and he's never lost the spark. And I just love that like childlike drive and passion that he still remains, even though he's a bit older, and I find that inspiring.
Shit, that's a good answer. I love Scott. Favorite snowboarder? I don't know.
You got to pick somebody. You can't just softball.
Softball. I just went on a trip with Matteo Massetti, and it was for an old man. It's so refreshing. I've obviously seen a bunch of his clips. They're really good, but it was the first time I'd really gone on a trip with him, and it gave me that feeling of like being like, holy shit, like everything he did, he landed, and it looked like video quality, basically just like riding. And I was like, oh, holy fuck, like this person is, you know, gonna be. So I don't know if he's really my favorite pro snowboarder, but he's the first person who came to my brain. Yeah, big answer I said earlier, which is like Danny Davis. I think he's just like the best professional we have. So,
you want to elaborate on Emma at all?
I think she's an ATV, and that's kind of what I'm chasing. So, you know, when I look outwards for inspiration, Emma and Iris are the 2 main that I go to.
Cool. All right, we're going to talk about Herschel outdoor equipment. You may have seen them. We give them to all of our guests that win Name That Video part. Pack them full of bomb hole merch. They are sleek, and they're introducing a brand new performance line for travel and the outdoors. They got Alpine inspired and designed with multi-functionality for the first chair or last minute flight. I personally use all Herschel gear when I travel. I use the roller bag. I use the big roller bag. They got great backpacks. And the one thing I like, you can take your backpack and slide it over your roller bag, and you can be a true pro traveler. All their stuff's really well made, and they're building a team. They got Arthur Longo and the Dust Box on board already. So if you're interested in getting some sleek new travel gear, check out Herschel.com.
All right, we're going to take a quick break with a message from our good friends over at Woodward Copper. Now, if you're like Chris and you got a kid, maybe this kid needs to be enrolled in a class to enhance their snowboarding abilities. There's nothing like getting taught by the best. And the coaches over at Woodward Copper got you covered. World-class coaches are going to help your child succeed in every way. With training indoors and out, on and off the snow, your child is going to have the ability to grow and maximize their ability to throw down and do insane tricks. All this and more can be found at the Woodward Copper's Park Rats session. Full day, weekend session. Get your kids some new tricks, maybe make some new friends. They're definitely going to make memories that'll last a lifetime. To learn more, head on over to coppercolorado.com.
I would love to kind of change gears for a second here and talk about your ender part in Bittersweet. Congratulations, huge. My first question is, did you know that you were getting ender, or was it a surprise?
No, it was a surprise. Ted didn't show us our clips or anything from the movie or anything at all, really, since the winter. So we did our clips. He let us watch them on the screen, say if we liked it. Couldn't get like an iPhone clip of the screen or anything. That was super not allowed. We watched the clips once at the end of the season. He just like threw them onto a timeline, and then saw him again at the premiere.
What was the reaction when you realized that you had last part?
I mean, I was stoked. I don't know, it's pretty unreal. It was my first real big production that I was all in on and worked really, really hard for. And the people that we were snowboarding with were so talented, and yeah, I don't know. I hadn't really thought about it much up to the point, and then we're at the premiere, and I've kind of seen everybody, and I'm like, when are my clips gonna play?
You were doing the live
You did
math.
You're
like,
well, no, I was just like, I feel like it's been a long time, and I haven't seen anything of mine, or like I've seen like one clip here or there, and I'm like, really want to see my clips. I haven't seen them in months. I forgot like most of what I did. So yeah. And then to have Ender and I don't know, to feel the respect from homies and peers feels good for sure.
Absolutely. Do you have a favorite clip from that part?
I mean, the nose press, I'm really proud that was the Ender. That was my biggest battle of the year. My feet are all fucked up and they were hurting so bad. I was throwing a tantrum. But I think it's like a clip or two before it on the gap rail where I board slide. I actually was in Denver separately from the crew that was in Denver. My grandma was in hospice, and I left from there, went and hit this spot, and then went back to hospice. And honestly, like the representation of the like emotional freedom that snowboarding provides, like to be able to go from like literally my family members in here dying to like I'm with my best friends doing the thing that we love, and to be able to do that and have a smile on my face and then go back. I fucking love snowboarding. This is why I do it. And that clip was for Grandma Noni. But yeah, that was my favorite clip.
That's sick.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. That one's such a banger too. Wow, that was one of the clips I was going to bring up. What a special story. What a great reminder of how special snowboarding is too.
Yeah, truly.
Love it.
Awesome. The best.
Yeah, and you should be really proud of yourself on that part. Like I rewatched it again this morning, and you got giant. You got a double backflip into powder. You're hitting giant step downs like that stale fish where you land like in the parking lot. But the thing is like in when I watch snowboard videos, it's like the devil's in the details and the intricacies. Like you can do a stale fish, or you can do a stale fish and like yoink it. And like your grabs, everything was really well done like a pro. There's nothing in there where you're like, oh, probably should have done that one again. Like that was a really good part, and you should be really proud of it. So
yay, thank you. I am really proud. We worked really hard.
That stalefish clip is sick though. Yeah. The one that it's like earlier before her part, but there's like a bail where you like overshoot it and miss the transition. But your stee is so sick. I think your hair's like flying. That honestly, like watching it, I was like, that's a sick clip. Like that makes you want to snowboard.
That's one of the only ones that Ted let me have on my phone. I was like, come on, you gotta let me like.
Why is he being so crazy about showing you your footage?
Because he doesn't want us to hate it by the time it comes out.
Yeah.
And honestly, also to have the surprise of it at the premiere, I really appreciated it.
Yeah.
It was really cool. Instead of just like watching it on the timeline 100,000 times and becoming numb to it.
Yeah.
Like I was glued to the screen. Seb Picard was talking to me, and I literally was like, Seb, shut the fuck up. Because he had seen the movie a couple of times by then. He was staying with Ted.
Yeah.
And I was like, they're talking. I have to watch. Like, shut the fuck up, Seb.
Yeah.
All right, we got a question from Tread on16. Ask Egan where she gets her fit inspiration.
My friends. 100%. The people around me are so creative, and I look up to them a lot. I think I take a lot from like bits and pieces from my different friends, and honestly a lot of their courage to just wear whatever. Sierra Forsheimer, Itchy, is a huge part of that. I don't know. She she did a lot of the work of like kind of not reaching out, but building relationships with people who are a little more fashion forward and know what's up and just don't give a fuck and wear whatever they want. And she started running with that, and living with her, I started running with it. And just to get that ball rolling and the momentum going of, I have a little Garfield hanging off my pants and that makes me fucking stoked now. Or like my belt is hanging out and it goes past my knee and people are talking about it, and like I eat that up. I love that.
Amazing. We got that's actually another question is, Egan, where and when and how the belt steez started?
Yeah. So my homie actually made that belt. My good friend Riley had a company called Reevaluate, and made some super sick belts. I bought one. He had seen me around. We like kind of knew each other. He gave me another, and for a while it took it. I was scared to pull the tail out of the belt. I would always have it tucked in. And then one time I was in New York City. I had a bright red version of the same belt and like white jeans on. I don't know. I was in New York City wearing an outfit. And I was like, this is the time that I pull the tail out. And we were just walking and some girl like leaned to her boyfriend. She's like, did you see that girl's belt? And I was like, I am never putting it back. Like the tail is out forever now.
Amazing. All right, we got one more question. Sorry, I missed your band, is their handle, asks, at Princess Menace. Rad name. Is there a story about how you came up with that name? Which is your IG handle for the people that are wondering.
Yeah, I was at home with my family. For the last couple of years, we've done an early Christmas because it's hard to get whatever, that's irrelevant. I was with my family and being a menace. And I was just kind of like feeling it also, though. My family's pretty hectic, so it's easy to fall into that role for me as the youngest. And I was texting my homie, I was like, damn, I'm kind of being a menace. And he said, yeah, Princess Menace. And I was like, that's me.
Done.
Instagram handle. That was it. Yeah.
Love it. All right, I'm gonna change gears again here. Trev, let's talk about your situation here for a second. So
One sec, Deese, I can't hear anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, my stuff kind of stopped. My headphones stopped going too.
Hello?
I got
there we
it
go.
now.
There it is. There it is. All right, we're
A
good.
short in the cord.
You guys are on the doubler.
Yeah, we're on a
All right.
doubler.
We can cut this.
It's my boy Silk
just
D.
just say I'm gonna change gears again.
Okay.
And I'll figure out what to do with it.
All right, I'm going to pivot here and talk about you, Trev. I think now you're the North American sales manager over at Arbor, but you've had a long road to get there. I think it would be cool to kind of run through maybe a brief synopsis of how you got to being this sales manager.
100%. So I grew up in Utah, right at the mouth of Big Cottonwood Canyon. My dad taught me how to snowboard when I was 6. I've never skied in my life. Woo. First time I ever skied was splitboarding. But I basically, my dad was into snowboarding and it was what we would do. And in 9th grade, we had this thing called Job Shadow, where you go to a different business in the community and you miss school and you work. And I knew the dudes at Milo and I did the Job Shadow at Milo. And I'm pretty sure that they had us in the back room. If you guys have ever been there, it's cement, freezing cold. And we were just tagging Bakota tools all day long. But I left there being this is really sick. I really want to work here one day. Bugged them and then basically a week after I turned 16, I got a job. And that was really the best way for me to kind of get my foot in the door within snowboarding. When you're working at a shop, doesn't matter if it's Milo, somewhere on the East Coast, it could even be they don't just sell snowboards, but that's how you're going to get people and connections with people at brands, and it usually starts with the rep. So yeah, I worked at Milo from 2006 until 2015, and then started working for Josh Fisher at Four Horsemen. We were an independent sales agency. We sold Burton, Rourke Revival, Viore, James brand. And yeah, I mean, it was insane. From there, I moved on to K2 and kind of like elevated my role. I was a regional rep and went to a sales manager. And then, yeah, about a year and a half ago, I switched over to Arbor. But I can't say enough about working in a shop. Like, no matter what you want to do, whether it's like engineering or marketing, or even to like, if you're aspiring to be a pro snowboarder, like go and get a job at a snowboard shop to be able to see how the industry goes. And that's how you're going to meet the reps who are going to introduce you to the people at the brands. I think another big thing is like just being willing to like go and help out, you know, putting yourself available. I've turned screws at demos for reps, and being social and like letting them know that you like want to make your way into the industry is like, people are going to help you get in if you do that.
That's amazing. What is your current role? Like, what does the day-to-day look like as a sales manager? Spreadsheets or?
Yeah, I mean, it's more spreadsheets than I'd like, honestly, but basically what I do is I manage all of the wholesale business in North America. So we have reps in every territory that I manage. Once the orders come in, I'm the one who works with works with our sourcing guy to work with the factory to figure out how much product we're ordering, how much product we're making. And then basically, like, once the product is made, a lot of what I do is like making sure that it's getting shipped on time to the right places. Because we basically take these orders 6 months in advance, and the product is made, and then in the fall we ship them out to all the shops. So a lot of what I do is like making sure that people are getting their product on time. It's been super hard in COVID. Like, COVID completely threw the supply chain for a loop, and we're finally like coming out of that. And then from there, once the product is in store, my job is to like service it to help it sell through. So working with reps, working with individual accounts to figure out like, all right, what are cool things that we can do to help spread the awareness of the brand at your location, and to ultimately help it to sell through. Because it doesn't do anybody any good if a shop books a bunch of snowboards and they're just sitting on the wall all year. Like, we need to get them into the hands of the consumer. So it's sick. I mean, the coolest part about it is that it's like every quarter is like really, really different with what I'm doing. So it keeps it interesting, keeps it fun. And I get to snowboard a lot, which is like really why I do it.
What year products are you working on right now? That'd be interesting for the listeners.
Yeah, so that's like, we just barely, it's almost done, but we finished like 26, 27. So basically, like, the stuff that will come out in 22 months from now, 20 months from now is what we're working on. And it makes it fun. It definitely makes it challenging with like how long it takes to get everything produced, because like, you got to be ahead of trends. You got to be ahead of like what people are going to buy or what graphics people are feeling. And you kind of got to look into a crystal ball and be like, oh no, this is hitting now. I bet that's going to hit in 2 years. But yeah, that's been a crazy, crazy thing to wrap my mind around, is like, we work on such a future timeline that you got to do a lot of guessing to make sure that you're getting the right products in the stores.
This is a good question in regards to that. Riff Dog Homeboy, our Patreon member. Shout out to our Patreon members. Thank you guys so much.
What up, Riffle? I know you, brother. Milo alumni.
Oh, yeah. He says, T-Bone, what's your prediction on the trend in future board tech? Also, what role do you see shops having in the future as everyone shops online? Two-parter.
I'm going to start with shops, part 2. Shops are super important. I mean, the biggest reason that shops are important, one, the culture of snowboarding starts with the snowboard shop, and then the other thing is consumer retention. So like, we don't want somebody to just buy a board, ride it 2 times, and then decide they want to switch over to like a different winter activity. Like, we want them to buy a snowboard and then become a snowboarder, buying a season pass the next year, going up, enjoying what we all enjoy about snowboarding. And shops are definitely the only way to really instill that. Like, when a consumer comes in to a proper shop and they have their bindings mounted properly, they have their boots centered on their bindings, which is centered on their snowboard, like, they're going to have a much better time riding. And ultimately, like, they're going to become a snowboarder. They're going to get a season pass next year. They're going to look for outerwear next. Like, that's the biggest thing that shops provide, is like retaining people and building snowboarders out of people who just like to snowboard.
Great answer. And part 1 of the question was board trends.
I mean, I think I'm a huge fan of directional boards, not like overly directional. Like, boards like the Quiver are amazing for specific purposes. But like a directional board with a longer nose and tail and maybe a little bit of taper. I think for like a beginner, that's the best. A soft directional board is the best setup for them to get on. They're not riding switch a whole lot, but also it helps them to learn to link turns properly. And then beyond that, I mean, it's interesting because like shape and side cut makes such a difference with how the board rides. Like we've tried to put so many different materials in snowboards over the year, bamboo and flax and carbon fiber and freaking like super light Coroid in snowboards. And, you know, ultimately, yeah, it makes it right. It gives it some shelf appeal. There are performance benefits, but I think that like the best thing that we can do is continue to like refine the shape and refine side cut radiuses, because that's the thing that you really notice when you're shredding is like how the board actually rides. I think that we'll see more and more companies putting more materials besides like wood, PTEX, fiberglass, and epoxy in a snowboard. But for the most part, like I really think that the next like iteration and furthering of the sport is going to come from shaping and side cuts and things like that.
Don't you think like I thought about this a long time ago. Someone was like, "Oh, softer boards are so much easier to ride," which I agree with. But I have thought about that for like a beginner. At least when I was young, I hated that feeling of the tail being long.
Yeah.
You know, you'd feel like stuck in that tail way more than like you almost never really noticed your nose. I was like, I wonder if you made like just beginner snowboards with these like really short, very soft tails so people could kind of learn to like shimmy from toe to heel a little bit easier, especially when you're going slow. Like it is like my brother has a couple younger kids, and watching them like just learn to go from toe to heel edge is such a gnarly like commitment, and it has to be like both feet almost jumping into it. I'm like, I wonder if you changed the whole shape of the snowboard just for a beginner, if it could make it like an easier like wiggle.
For sure. I mean, we kind of do that, you know, like torsional flex is huge for people being able to like learn how to get on their toes and their heels. Because if they can flex the board slightly underneath their feet, it's way easier to initiate to a turn. Whereas if you're on a stiff board, it's super planky. Like if any of us go from a medium flex, like daily driver, to like the stiffest board that any of the companies you guys ride for makes, it's going to feel like you're riding like a 2x4.
Yeah, you're stuck.
It's sick when you're at high speed or going through chunder and like there's purposes for it. But yeah, I mean like, and if you look at like, you know, whether it's the Learn to Ride boards from Burton or any company's like entry-level snowboard, like we do a lot of work, whether it's milling out the cores or whatever, to give it torsional flex as well as tip-to-tail flex. Because when you're learning, you're going slow, you know, and you need something that can like hold when you're just creeping down the mountain.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, talking about different shapes and what kind of leads us perfectly into the quiver here, which is, from what I gather, a whole slew of shapes and whatnot. I watched your movie, The Quiver, this morning at about 5 o'clock in the morning with my baby boy, and I quite enjoyed it, actually. I was wanting to talk shit on it, but the front 10 double, is that recent or is that old?
Yeah, pretty recent.
Dude, I didn't know you still had the front 10 dub ski like that, brother.
Well, when I say recent, I use that in like the form of like life.
Decade,
you know? So like recently that happened.
That wasn't like
Within the last
winter?
5 years,
No,
or
that
what are we
was-
talking?
I mean, I can't even. I'd say it's probably 4.
Oh, that was old. That was the archival.
Yeah. There's a bunch of archive,
Got
like
it.
kind of that whole thing flows. We tried to make it kind of seem like, not timeless is a weird word, but more just like flow through all this old footage of Tommy when he was a kid or when he was younger, going through like falling in love with snowboarding, and then maybe same with me and having, you know, there's a lot of Easter eggs in that thing. But yeah, I was talking to Mateo actually on this last trip to Retallick, and he's like, "You think you got the double?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think so."
Well, I did like one thing that you said in there too, where you're like, when I was a pro snowboarder, I didn't give a shit what snowboard. It's just like about landing on the jump. And then you talk about now how you're more experimental with shapes. I'm kind of experiencing that in my older age a little bit as well. Maybe you could speak on that.
Yeah, I just think it's probably just coming off of what Trev said, which is like you go through these different stages. I'm sure Egan has like a very specific type of rail board that she's gonna be like, that makes this trick easier, that trick harder, or whatever. And you get to a point where you're like, oh, that makes my life easier. And when you're doing whatever, like cheese wedge tricks, you really want something that's going to like land for you. And then once you get out of just going 1,000 miles an hour and flying off a jump, those boards aren't as fun to just like ride down the hill. They're not like a, basically like a twin tip park board is pretty useless on a normal powder day. If you're just going regular and hitting cliffs and jumping off shit, you don't really need that. But now at this point too, like Tommy, who owns Nitro and designs all the boards, is he's always wanting to mess with stuff, and also we use the quiver as a experimental place more, and not half the boards, but a lot of the boards we'll keep them in the line for a year or two. If they do really well, we pop them into the main line and put like wide version, split board version, like tiny version, and if they do really poorly, like people don't respond well to them, we'll just take them out of the line and be like, yeah, that was in the quiver for 2 years, people didn't love it, that's fine.
Out of the quiver, which shape did you strap on and be most pleasantly surprised with that maybe you didn't think was going to hit?
Probably this thing. It used to be called a gun. It's the Canon. And Tommy's been making it in the movie he talks about it. He's made it every single year. He's had the company, and he designed the side cut so it rides very similar to you'd say a normal snowboard. So it's like a very versatile board, even though it looks insane.
Explain the swallowtail to the civilian or maybe the podcast host sitting next to you that's curious about.
I mean, swallowtail is actually like a physical representation of what Trev and I were talking about, which it's breaking up the stiffness of that tail. So the way that you can enter and exit turns is less grabby than a full fat tail that basically is like helping steer you, right? So that thing gives you a little bit more nimble control, so you can ride a really big board. Even I can ride this board in pretty tight trees, and it doesn't feel like it's hooking you the same way like a normal 173. You'd be like, holy shit, I have no control of this thing. But the swallowtail almost probably takes like, I'd probably say 10 centimeters of like stiffness out of the board, where you're like, oh, this thing's like very rideable. And so yeah, the swallowtail is basically like a cheat code for like a very long board. If you had a really short board with a really deep swallowtail, it would not be a very stable snowboard.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about floating, like keeping your tail down in powder? That was what I thought the swallowtail was for. Am I delusional?
I mean, surface area, yeah, you could probably make arguments for surface area, and that's why people play with like short, wide boards, and a lot of what you're doing is just trying to keep yourself from bogging. But I'm gonna say the nose on that snowboard is doing a lot more work. Just that long of a drawn out nose is gonna keep your momentum. I mean, that's all we really feel, right? Is like if you have momentum or not, and certain things are gonna drag you. Like if the nose is not staying out of the snow, you're just going to feel like you're out of control because you're going slow. The slower you go, you're like, holy fuck, this thing's not doing what I want it to do. Where a longer nose is going to keep you kind of like, in control.
Okay, big news from our friends over at Mammoth Mountain. They are now open for the 24-25 season, and they've got big changes. A reinvigorated, brand new main park layout with new features, more jumps, and brand new jibs. Mammoth is also bringing back the hemlocks on the backside of the mountain. You're going to have to hike a little bit. You're going to have to unstrap, but don't worry, because picture this: a freestyle big mountain paradise with a little bit of help from park crew. If you like what you're hearing, check out mammothmountain.com for current deals and to check out their loaded events calendar for the season. That's mammothmountain.com. All right, we're going to take a quick break and talk to you about our good friends over at Oakley. They got a new team collection this year with Sage Kotzenberg and Jamie Anderson. Yep, I was just as impressed as you. Designed for a memorable backcountry experience, utilizing Oakley's industry-leading, top secret, extremely advanced technology that I myself cannot comprehend. This collection offers you a breathable, waterproof, and windproof experience designed with and for the athletes, bringing their personality into the design. You're not going to want to miss this new collection. So head on over to Oakley.com and check it out for yourself.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and talk about OnX. All right, Bombhole listeners, if you've been venturing in the backcountry, you need OnX Backcountry. OnX Backcountry is a GPS mapping app designed to help you explore the backcountry with confidence. Bryan, you can appreciate that. You spent some time in the mountains.
I want this app so bad.
Well, let me tell you about it. With OnX Backcountry, you can scope lines like never before by utilizing 3D maps, guidebook route descriptions, and high-quality satellite imagery. You can visualize your perfect run. OnX Backcountry gives you the tools to interpret the information you've gotten from an avalanche report into a backcountry tour plan. Access avalanche reports, slope angle, and aspect shading, and their revolutionary avalanche terrain exposure scale layer to help you determine what terrain is the best pick for your day and what terrain should be avoided, which I think is pretty interesting. Like it's mapping out the aspects that are sketchy.
Absolutely.
That's incredible.
It also it tracks you. Like, is there a way for me to use this app and then maybe send it to Griff and be like, hit more vert than you today?
Yes.
Like Strava?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And the good thing is if you have no cell phone service, there's no problem. You can download the maps before you're heading out. You have all the tools you need to stay on track no matter how deep into the backcountry. So don't wait. Download the app today. Save 20% with code BOMBHOLE20. Ride smarter, safer, and bolder with OnX Backcountry. But I will say this, like if anybody's been out on snowmobiles specifically, I know this happens when you're touring too, but you go out and it's snowing really hard, your tracks are covered, you can get lost out there quick. So like maps are seriously really, really important when venturing into the mountains because that's how we can lose friends.
It's also like really incredible. Obviously, I think a lot of that is probably used for safety, the mapping, but you know, you also could use it just to find like your favorite little cliff and like have all these things marked where you basically become like crazy resort guide. You're like, I got you boys. Come with me. I know exactly where we are.
Let me hit the app real quick.
No, secretly hit the app. You're like behind a tree. Like, okay.
Dude, OnX is sick though. I use it.
You do?
Yeah, splitboarding and snowmobiling and stuff. The Avi terrain feature is crazy, but it makes sense that they can do that. Like slope below.
What is that?
Basically, it'll show you like Avi hazard and kind of like, I mean, it's all just based on the slope angle of it that I'm sure they can shoot via satellite, but it'll like shade it as like more prone to avalanches, less prone to avalanches.
Right.
I mean, obviously you got to do your own research too and test the factors, but OnX is insane. It's dope.
Yeah, I mean, I think a ton of like avalanche safety is just about like data collection before you go into the mountains. So you're just like, I have all of, you know, you're going to be in dangerous scenarios. So it's more about prepping yourself to be as safe as you possibly can. And seems like that app would be pretty good at helping.
All right, Bryan, I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier. You said you wanted to ask Trevor some business questions.
Oh, yeah. I mean, earlier when he was talking about his job, you know, I just felt like I had some curiosities around what his interactions are with maybe either team or marketing managers or brand managers and how much like sales plays in those conversations of maybe being like, do they talk to you about Egan or, you know, like basically being like, okay, what are the shops saying about Egan or like is, you know, so I guess that was my question.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, honestly was like a big reason that I wanted to come to Arbor was for that. I mean, I think personally, and this is coming from a dude that does sales, but like sales, product, marketing, which encompasses team, like in order for a brand to really be working like it should be, they all need to come together because the marketing heads are the ones that are like, this is what's coming in the future. And the sales heads are more like, hey, this is what the data is telling me. And these are the real feedback that I'm getting from retailers on, hey, this board graphic is a little bit soft. Hey, you're missing a consumer here. So, I mean, for the brands that are like really doing it right, it's not at all segmented between the two. There's an open line of communication. And that's honestly been really sick about this new job is the fact that like, you know, I'm in those meetings, we're having those conversations, we're designing products together based on a need that I see in the market. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of that. And I think at most brands that are working well, there's that happening for sure.
That's also a curiosity for me around your job, which is like, how do you manage so many places selling your products kind of at whatever price they want? Like, if you don't have a human walking into the shop to be like, yo, this board was actually $299.
Yeah.
December 27th. Like, you know, it's a weird business.
So we have like a MAP policy that we send, and that stands for minimum advertised price. And basically, the shops cannot list a product below the MSRP rate, which we set, except for at certain windows. So like it's in most, like for us and most other brands that like want the brand to sell through at wholesale, it's like March 1st.
Okay.
Like March 1st, depending on your brand, it's 10 or 20% discount. It's at the end of the season. Hopefully they don't got a lot of boards. It's just like the like odd sizes or whatever. But dude, we can't do anything. Like in Europe, they can't even send MAP policies out. And we can't really do anything. Like we can't police it in store more than just like, okay, if this is happening, we obviously call them and ask them not to list the product in store for this.
Or something, yeah.
But online is the biggest thing where it's like really interesting because, you know, a big online dealer decides that they want to go 20% off on all snowboard stuff over Black Friday. And that, at that point, like with the way that it goes with the consumer, that's the going rate for that product. Okay, this board retails at $500. This thing is $400. This is the going rate for that product, even though like they're listing it and doing it unauthorized, you know? So we can stop the digital players from like posting stuff at a certain discount. And a lot of my job is like, a shop will hit me up and be like, hey, these guys are off price, or hey, these guys have a coupon code that we need you guys excluded from. Can you hit them up? And I hit them up and they're like, oh yeah, all good. A lot of times it is like an oversight. Like the good dealers realize that like, hey, we can't be discounting product early in the season. Like it just came into the stores, and you know, these shops, their whole business is built on selling stuff at full margin at brick and mortar.
Do you think that there's, with a couple really big shops taking a lot more and more market share, do you think there could be a good result in them having their own shop brands, or do you feel like that's like the demise of independent snowboard companies?
I mean, when it comes to hard goods, my thoughts are a little bit different. Like soft goods, if I owned a snowboard shop, I would 100% have my own private label soft goods. Like that's a huge revenue driver for those shop owners, and to get your brand out there, et cetera. Hard goods is different because like, dude, there's so much that goes into producing a quality snowboard. Like if you look at what Jay Stone does over at K2, the amount of math that goes into him properly designing a side cut, and like when a shop comes out with their private label snowboard, it's basically like, yeah, they maybe design the shape, but the amount of engineering and manufacturing that goes into it to make sure that it's perfect for the consumer is lost, you know? So it kind of like, it devalues a snowboard per se.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like such a wild, it almost goes back to the half pipe stuff where you see it and you're like, there's almost like this really tiny shell of like us who we're like talking to and talking at. And then there's the whole consumer where you're like, man, it's really difficult to know like where the confluence of those two things is. And you go like, what's better for the consumer so that more people do this and it's a more affordable thing to do, but the products are still good. And if all these shops come out with their own snowboards and their own outerwear and their own whatever, and they're almost just taking the Amazon model of being like, we do all this data collection and then we make the thing that we see the customer wants. And then that becomes way cheaper for the customer. Is it like actually end goal going to be more people snowboarding? You know, I don't know. And then the culture maybe is hurt from it. It's kind of a little sketch.
No, for sure. And I mean, I think that the like where the average consumer is at compared to where we're at in our sphere and the things that matter to us and the things that are sick to us and the videos that get us hyped, like there's a huge disconnect from that. Like I was reading some stats earlier today and they basically have like, okay, how many, if you go 1 time a year, 2 times a year, 3 times a year, or 7 or more times a year. And the majority of like snowboarders, I think it was like, not the majority, but the largest percentage was like the 7+ per year. It was like 20 something %. But going 7 times in a year is like nothing for any of us, you know? And if you have a neighbor that goes 7 times a year, they're like, oh yeah, they're out there like 2 weekends a month, maybe cruising up and doing beers in the lot or whatever it is. But there's a huge disconnect between us as like the like core of snowboarding and the consumer. And I mean, I think the brands that can start to blur that line a little bit are going to be the ones that are going to be the most successful. But it's hard because, like, dude, you still got to, like, as a brand, contribute to video projects and team riders and things like that. Because even though, like, at the end of the day, like, the consumer who is coming in and riding 7 or less times a year doesn't probably know the name of any pro snowboarder besides Travis Rice or Sean White.
Yeah.
Or
Egan Wint.
Or Egan Wint.
Egan, did you ever work at a shop?
No.
Never.
No, I honestly never was like, I never had a snowboard shop that I went to or.
What about the rental situation?
I did work in the Brighton rental shop.
That's where I met Egg.
Really?
Dude, so sick. Coming from freaking turning screws, adjusting rental bindings to sick-ass stalefish and bittersweet.
Crazy.
That's a hero's journey.
It was fun being in the rental shop, though. You get people who have never seen snow before. You get people who have their annual Christmas trip, or just the person who lived in Salt Lake City who's never skied before.
I was a rental. I didn't work in a rental shop, but I rented boards the first probably couple of years I went to the mountain.
Yeah, I had season rentals.
Yeah. What is that?
Where you would rent a snowboard for a season and then give it back and get a new one the next
sick.
season.
You guys do that at Arbor?
No, but shops do it.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's talking like going back to like retention and participation. Like that's one of the best things that shops can do to get a beginner consumer to be able to progress, to be able to come and buy a snowboard the next year. Because most shops that do it, it's like for a kid, like $100 or $120. For an adult, like $150, $200. That's huge on the East Coast. They call it season lease.
Okay.
But it's a really, really sick way to get more people in the mix, especially if you're a kid and you're growing all the time. Like your parents got to have loot to be able to buy you a new board every single year when you grow or your feet grow or whatever. But yeah, it's sick.
I have a question. You know, you touched on it in the Nitro turbo takes, but you know, let's just lean into that overall participation conversation because you mentioned it was the most important thing to improve overall participation. I want to know if you guys have takes on that. Like what are the solutions, Trev?
I mean, I think of it a couple different ways. First, it's the like dynamics of the human beings that we're promoting snowboarding to. And I think it's like right now it's like 35% of snowboarders are women, 65% are men. If you take all the other like socioeconomic things out of it, like women are way more likely to tell their friends about an experience that they've had and to get their friend to join. They're way more likely to tell their friend about a product. This is generalizing, but there's like facts to back this up about a product that they're really hyped on more so than men are. So there's a huge portion of the market that like because of the way that things have gone within snowboarding and like we're still in our adolescence, like it hasn't really been an industry or something that's like more than this fringe thing for it's been like maybe 30 years that it's been kind of like in the mainstream. So it starts with like expanding our reach to like, I mean, women is a huge part of it. I think the next part of it is working with resorts to find an affordable way to snowboard. Because if you look at it nowadays, you're like, yeah, you can get an Icon Pass, whatever, get your time on the hill. There's certain resorts that have like learner programs. Snowbird, if you buy a pass, you get a pass for free. Woody's is sick for this. But like the barrier to entry for someone to just go snowboarding, to try it the first time is like, you got to be in like upper middle class for that to even happen. And then I think the third part about it is product. Like, you know, I talked about the step-ons and the pants, but step-on's a good example of them trying to make a product that will get more consumers on snow. And whether it's people who snowboarded when they were in their 20s in the early 2000s and now they got kids and they don't want to bend over and strap in or whatever, or whether it's like boards for kids that are specifically designed for a 60-pound human to be able to flex torsionally, or even like entry-level boards for adults, because like we really need to make product so that it is user-friendly so that we can get people to love what we've all come to love.
I have a take on one thing that kind of shoots All right, so you know what I look for? I'm just when I go snowboard, it's about the experience, the snowboard experience.
Yep.
Right, like the ease of experience, and I think that like one of the issues that we're probably running into, obviously this is not rocket science, but like, if you go to a mountain and there's 5 million people there, and you wait in lift line the whole time, like. That ain't good for retention either, right? Like I don't even go on the weekends now, and I'm spoiled to be able to say that. But it's the experience when it's overcrowded is definitely not that fun. I think we're all in agreement to that. That seems like a huge hurdle too, right?
Yeah, I mean it's hard because like a lot of the participation thing does start with resorts, and like I'm not talking like Brighton does a great job at like keeping it still somewhat affordable. Like if you look at the price of a Brighton pass, you're like, they could probably charge more for that in today's economy, and the fact that going up to PC if you don't have a pass is like $300 these days. But a lot of that starts at resort and finding a way to be able to shuffle and funnel more people, opening more terrain, but all that costs money, and it's easier said than done. There's Forest Service leases, there's all sorts of stuff that people got to worry about. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't provide a good experience for, imagine if you're like taking your kids up and you got to park at the back of the lot and you're walking a mile up the hill just to get them to the snow to be able to like strap them on and hopefully they like it and don't get scared of the lift or whatever, like in experience and consumer experience is something that like we got to figure out. But it's interesting when it comes to lift ticket prices because like the price of a lift ticket has gone up astronomically since the late 90s, early 2000s, and the price of a snowboard has actually gone down. Mm-hmm. So there's ways to do it. Things like Woodward, and I can't remember that spot in Denver, but there's like
Ruby Hill.
Yeah, Ruby Hill in Denver. Like, I think we really need to think outside of the box with other ways outside of like showing up at Jackson Hole with your kids and trying to battle the crowds and get on the lift,
Egan, you got a take?
Yeah, mine would be pretty similar. And I think it's biased as a snowboarder, but the media that I consume, the snowboard media that I consume, has a huge influence on, like, I don't know, have you ever watched a video part to get you stoked to go shred or something like that? Like, yeah, that kind of energy and carrying that through. So, supporting the people that can tell a story, can make a relatable experience. I think relatability is huge for me, which is also why I love street snowboarding so much, because the individualism that you get from it compared to the competitive side is so strong. You can tell. One of my favorite Krugs is one of my favorite snowboarders because I feel like you can watch his video part and know what he's about, and like I want to go snowboarding with that guy now. The Yagoons movies or videos or whatever you might call them, those made me want to go fucking snowboarding with my friends. And that shaped me as a snowboarder and made me, I don't know, it made me sitting on the couch excited to go out the next day. And that was probably the biggest driving force for me in snowboarding, or like to continue to go out every single day, just to want to do it all the time.
Great take.
I love that take. I like the how different those two perspectives are, because you're like, Trev's is so biz that he wants to like solve the problem. He's like saying like, I want to decide like how this will be solved so it's okay for people, and how you instantly were like, I want to affect people so they figure out wanting to go do it, which are like totally two different mentalities. I think both are obviously super valuable. Yeah, I don't know. I think the last time I was on here, we talked about it. I don't think there's enough competition in the resort marketplace. So it's like very easy for resorts to have all the power. And, also those ticket prices aren't it's like they're not too expensive because the resorts are still full. So it's like a little bit of a hard argument to be like, this shit's too expensive. And you're like, well, you can't be too expensive and a full parking lot. It's more just saying there isn't a competitor that gives a different product that would serve a different person. And that really bothers me in a way that you're like, we are all sitting here basically in a commercialized studio with brands and sponsors and everything that we all, 5 of us, are relying on the fact that like it's healthy business. But what we're trying to say is almost be like, we want there to be something out there that's offered that's away from.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a good point.
For sure.
So it's a little bit weird. Like it feels like weird to talk about it where I'm like, well, my whole life has been trying to film these video parts or make these films that inspire people to go do it. But in turn, buy products that then pay for all of it to happen. That, the negative side of a lot of this is that it is just an expensive thing to do. It just is like, I'd say my summer passions are basically to like surf and play football or play American soccer. And both of them are such a crazy low barrier for entry. Once you have like a surfboard and a wetsuit, you never give anyone a single dollar again. You get a pair of football boots and a ball. You could play anywhere.
We're in America. It's soccer.
So you play soccer and you're just like, yeah, it's just no one, there doesn't need to be these like massive conversations about like, how do we make the ocean cheap? Or something.
Yeah.
It's just weird that like, well, what we're doing is a very small, there's not very many places on earth to do it. The places that you can do it have already figured out ways to get the government permission to sell lift tickets, basically put in lifts and capitalize on basically that lease. That's their offering, is that they've figured out the lease with the government. And then once they do that, they go, well, I can charge whatever I want because look around, there's no, it's like a restaurant in a town where it's like no other restaurants are allowed. It's like burger's $150. Like, what the fuck are you going to do about it? You want a burger? So it's more like if you're looking to have a conversation about all of this being cheaper is, well, how do you compete with Jackson Hole? Because Jackson Hole, I talked to a dude who worked there. He's really high up, and he's like, man, lift tickets are expensive, but our overhead is absolutely insane. Like the liability and even just the avalanche control you have to do to give people a safe experience on a real resort where there's danger, like that's crazy. So it feels like maybe more of a how do you look into land lease agreements where there can be places that you probably don't have avalanche danger and you can offer an experience for a family that's way fucking better. Where it's just like, hey, we have these like weird kid parks with like dinosaurs and crazy shit. And like when you have kids, you go there. And when you go in the resort, there's like wild places for the kids to play because kids have like 30-minute attention span. Like I loved that about Blues when Blue had the bomb hole and he was like, I roll with my kids' vibe. The second they're over snowboarding, we go home. I don't know if it's 1 run or 5 runs, but the second they're over it, because I want them to leave and to love it. So all of their brain goes like, I love going to the mountain with dad. And he's like, for me, I'm having to manage the fact that like the second they're over it, we leave. We're like, yeah, what if you made a ski resort that was absolutely incredible for a family to go to that was also cheap because you don't have the overhead and the liability risk of like avalanches and fucking, danger. And instead it's just like, yeah, we got dinosaurs and playhouses and weird stuff that like, if you live in Salt Lake City, all the families go to this resort. Maybe the food is, for kids. I don't know. I'm just throwing out there of like, we have to think differently instead of just being like, this should be cheaper.
For sure. But I mean, that kind of exists with Woodward.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like you're describing Woodward as you were talking. Yeah.
Back in the day, it was like, dude, when I learned how to snowboard, there was one option. It was get on the lift or you're not snowboarding, you know? And like getting on the lift for a kid is like, dude, you're 6. It's so high. You're like terrified. You're in these gloves that you can't even move around. You got these crazy ass boots on. Like it's a weird experience, but things like you can go to Woody's and they have those little learn to ride boards with the handlebar and kids can go there for free and like just get the feel of being on snow. I mean, I agree with you. I think that it's like that is what we need to be able to establish, because from there, once somebody's hooked, like we're all hooked. Like, dude, I hate waking up at 5:30 to drive to Brighton on a POW day, but I do it every single time and I still have a sick time, you know? Like once you get through that barrier where you're like, oh, I'm about this, like this is a part of who I am, then you're going to be able to like move through the like, okay, you figure out how to swing it and be like, okay, we go early or we go late or we know where to ride or whatever, or we just reduce our expectations of like, you're not going to ride untracked POW all day long anymore, but it's all good, you know?
Yeah. Because you also like, at least for me, when I talk to people about why I even care about others doing it is almost like when I listen to you talk about your filming experience with your grandma, which is like, what we want to give to people is that feeling that is all encompassing, that is so incredibly hard to find in so many different walks of life, that when you are snowboarding, there is a removal from all the other shit. So I think everybody being like, how do we make this cheaper? How do we get more people to do it? Like, it feels shitty to say it because we want, like, all of us are profiting from the industry growing. But deep down, hopefully everybody who's in the industry is doing that because they're like, I want you to get this free little drug thing that like has stolen our whole life.
Yep. Yeah. And that's a big part of it. I mean, I think we can all probably agree, like snowboarding is one of those things that like, doesn't matter what is happening in your personal life, doesn't matter what's happening at work. Like when you're strapping in and going down the hill, you're locked in. You're not thinking about your phone. You're not thinking about if you're hungry. You're locked in on one specific purpose. And as humans, like with technology and things like that, like, dude, we're multitasking and we're on multiple screens. I'm doing it all the time. I'm on 3 screens and my phone over here, like trying to do multiple things at once. Like, and when I go snowboarding, and I'm sure you all feel like this, I feel like a better human being. I'm more patient. I'm more like, I'm nicer to the clerk at the freaking coffee shop, you know? And like, that's why we want it. The other thing is like, if we want to keep supporting sick projects and things like that, like we need some more funds in the hopper in order to be able to do that. And that's back to the business side.
But going back to what you said too, I'm going to kind of speak on the obvious as well though. For me, and I'm sure anybody listening that's like working a job, you know, we have a lot of behind the scenes things that happen in the bomb hole, right? Got to do a lot of emails. We got Zoom meetings. We got spreadsheets you get sucked into, sitting in a chair, staring at a computer screen, you know, and like sometimes for me, I can deprioritize snowboarding because my schedule's full or whatever. And you know, this week I went to Snow Basin on Thursday, and then I went and I just like my entire life was enhanced. Like my entire being was enhanced. Like I was the full version of myself. I was excited. I was more confident. I was just happier. And then the next day I go up to Woodward, just going through the motions. I'm kind of sore, you know, I'll go take some laps. Me and Sage are just like chucking in every direction. Hey, let's try this. Let's try that. Like we're pushing ourselves. And then that next day I'm just like so much more full of life and energy and just like, and sometimes this is a reminder for myself because I can be like, I don't feel like going up today. But you know what we're describing, like as much as it could seem trivial that it's snowboarding, but snowboarding is a life enhancing experience when it's good. Sometimes it's windy and it's horrible, and like sometimes you're looking for that life enhancing experience, and it doesn't always happen. I will say that, but like when it happens, god damn, it's a beautiful thing.
It's the best shit ever.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Do you guys have meetings at Arbor to be like, how do we get like something like the Nitro quiver? Like, is that like a thing? Or like, did you guys have that at K2? Or like,
hey, I'm gonna. You didn't come up with that, Bryan. The quiver is sick. I'm a huge fan of the quiver. Honestly, you didn't come up with that, brother. You capitalized on it, and I respect it.
I got another topic here that I know you can tee up on. I've heard you tee up on this, but Trev, when it comes to ski companies and snowboarding, there's new ones coming in, you know, and they've been here and they're around, and a lot of people have opinions about them. What's yours?
I maybe have an unpopular opinion, so preface this. The way, if you're riding something down a mountain and you want it to look cool and to be the most amount of fun, it's a snowboard. Skis are great for transportation, traversing. You watch somebody on skis rip a power line and it's pretty sick. I got no hate on skis. A lot of people hate on them within the industry, and I used to work for one. And like, the thing is that because of those ski dollars and them being able to invest in snowboarding, it employs a lot of snowboarders. It brings a lot of kids into the mix. They're able to sponsor riders like Bryan, who started on a ski company and then moved to Nitro, you know? Like, I think that there's a place for them. Obviously, the brands like that are still owned by the owner and the founder that are snowboard-specific brands, like, they're, in my mind, on like a different pedestal for sure. But these days, like, they get a bad rap, but a lot of times they're giving back and putting more in than people give them credit for. And even just on the back end, like employing people who are passionate about snowboarders and giving people like me, who's never going to be a pro snowboarder, the opportunity to do it and to live it. I think they get a lot of hate that's maybe not warranted.
Great take. Anyone else want to tee up on that? Anybody else want to salt? Smelling salt.
I got 3.
Right,
Ski brand, yeah. I mean, I think it's difficult. You probably bring that up because what do we got? We got Line and Armada are making snowboards.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard.
Or yeah, they are making snowboards.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a difficult. Yeah, I rode for K2 before I rode for Nitro. It definitely felt a lot different than when I, sitting in a marketing meeting at K2 was one beast, and then sitting in a marketing meeting at Nitro is a different world. So I can definitely say that they are very different. At least those two that I've experienced. I think the snowboard industry would be healthier if it was a clearer path that snowboard brands profited from snowboard culture. And that's just a thing we can't really get to because, skiing obviously probably is the reason for 99% of the resorts on Earth. So it's just the way it goes. But at this point now, it is kind of, you look at it and you're like, well, we're giving away part of the reason we don't have the money to pay for a lot of the movies that Egan's talking about is because so much of the money is going to like non-snowboard companies. Like if
you're saying if you were to remove the ski company's market share and the snowboard companies could come in on that, then that would be your utopian idea of a better situation.
I'm not saying it's utopian. It just might be funneled. The dollars would continue to be funneled into a thing that continues down one path instead of right now. It's not just hard goods. You look at goggle companies, outerwear companies, everything, and there is not like what is an independent snowboard outerwear brand?
686.
Autumn.
32. Actually, well, they're owned by
I'm just saying
Nitro, which is also owned by snowboarders.
But even before
that's
that,
owned
it
by
was
snowboarders.
skateboarding.
Yeah.
Even before that, it was skate.
Yeah.
So
Nitros are snowboarders, though, the owners. So
you got like it's really a weird thing to have this huge industry that you're like, there's a lot of money coming in and going out and going to all these different hands. And there's not too many companies that you're like, oh, that's just clearly a snowboard company. Mm-hmm. So it is a little weird where maybe skis have a bad year, this has a bad year, rollerblades have a bad year, whatever. And, or, you look at some of the big outerwear companies these days that are like climbing and long distance running and whatever these companies are, you're like, they don't need snowboarding. And also, if like long distance running does bad, maybe they take some of the snowboard dollars.
So if you could bottle up what you're trying to say and put an end message, what would that be?
Nothing. It's just
are you saying what I'm hearing is what I'm trying to put words in your mouth is you're saying support brands that are owned by snowboarders. Is that what you're trying to say? Or are you just commenting on the?
I just think it's just the reality of the matter is that like we don't have a healthy industry that is snowboarding. So we're sitting here talking about snowboarding, but the industry does not reflect our culture. The health of the industry is so fucking dynamic because it's not ours or what.
Yeah.
It's not coming from us, owned by us, profiting.
Yeah, but to have a positive take on that, you would say, right? Am I?
Well, yeah, that's like part of why I wanted to make that movie about Tommy, who owns Nitro, is going like, this is a snowboarder who goes snowboarding every day, who owns this company, who has intentionally not sold it and does not care about growth. He cares about the employees and about snowboard. He's like, I would rather have it stay exactly what it is. I have no interest in growth as long as we make good products and employ people who love snowboarding at the core. But I feel fortunate to ride for them. I also ride for other companies who don't do that. You just look at it and you're like, it's a more complex question than what's good for snowboarding. It's just like, well, how do we actually keep the money? Like, if you look at Egan and go like, Egan just made a shitload of people want to go snowboard. Does that stay in snowboarding or not? It's just really difficult to figure that out.
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting though, like, because like for outerwear specifically, like you can be a small privately held outerwear company and get to a certain size, but like in order to be able to continue to grow and make better products and use new materials, like you need to have some sort of capital to be able to pay your factories, because you pay the factories way in advance between with the time that it ships to the shops and when the shops pay you, you know? So I think on the other side of that is like, there are brands who are, you know, the North Face is a pretty good example. I think like they support snowboarding, they support a lot of pro riders, but also the diversification, the fact that like, hey, maybe when it's a bad snow year and the industry isn't flourishing, like then they can take some of that trail running money and pump it into snowboarding in order to be able to continue to keep the dream alive, you know? Like there's got to be some sort of diversification. I don't know if they're doing it.
Yeah,
I don't know if they're doing it, but
that's what we used to say about Adidas and Nike.
You know, like the way I look at it, this is just simplified and not understanding complex socioeconomic problems, is that if a company wants to pay me to slide a piece of fucking wood down the hill, God bless them. Like, it beats going and swinging a fucking hammer. Are you kidding me? Like, it's great. You know, like Solomon, I rode for years, ski company. Thank God. My life would not be the same without them. So obviously there's a complex issue, but that I think we've kind of covered this. I'm gonna keep things moving. Unless you guys have anything else to add. We're getting into the weeds.
I just think for me, watching that thing about the mothership with Blue walking through that factory was really fucking sick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you
100%.
just feel how that human is living and breathing that and knowing his history. And I don't know, for me, I don't have anything to do with CAPiTA, and I was like, this is incredible, this is fucking sick, he's cool, I'm attracted to all of this, that type of thing. I go, that's good for the industry. That has nothing to do with my paycheck, but this being out in the world is good for the industry.
Yes,
for sure.
I think 100%. And if I was going to like boil down everything you said, I'm in agreement. And I think when you're talking about vote with your dollar, and when you buy brands that are rider owned, like CAPiTA, like Nitro, like things like that, you know, you can feel great about that. But inversely too, at the same time, like if somebody can get the bag and somebody's going to pay him to live the dream, fucking God bless that too. You know?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just the ecosystem, you know, but like the founder owned and operated companies, Arbor's one of them too, like that should be put on a pedestal, because for any of those guys to be able to do it, whether it's Tommy or Blue or Bob or whoever it is, like the amount of grit that it took for them to be able to like build snowboarding from just this random thing that some people did that was super fringe into what it is today, like it is years and years of like patience and hard works and commitment to the game, you know?
So Arbor is also founder owned.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really cool.
You did mention 686 too. Like I feel like they're killing it right now. And it is come from being rider owned and Pat McCarthy being like
The GOAT.
Well, the GOAT, but also knowing, you know, like there's a crazy value. He's basically like an inside trader as a marketing manager, right?
For sure.
So he almost has like illegal information. If he's competing against like some random outerwear marketing dude at some outdoor company, and then you got PMAC as your like, how do I figure out what's going down in the streets compared to that guy? You're like, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, maybe buy shit that you know where it's coming from, or you.
All right, I'm going to keep things moving here. I think we covered it. Great chat.
You can cut all this shit.
No,
we can
it's
talk about it at Arby's
conversation.
later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it at Arby's.
Keep it going.
All right, we're going to get into some videos here. A bunch of videos came out. This is a holiday episode. I'm just going to preface to our listeners that I started to put this show together like 7 p.m. last night. There's not a lot of production on this. I didn't do a lot of research, but I should touch on a few. This is a pile of shit show. Let's be honest. I'm sorry to anybody listening. No, but anybody that I didn't do a deep dive in all the videos that came out, but I just kind of grazed the surface. Obviously, North Face Blitz just dropped. We had Spencer and we had Kennedy on talking about it. They didn't make it sound like they didn't really sell us on it. I was pleasantly surprised. Great video.
Sick.
If you haven't seen that, go check it out.
Spencer is insane.
He's so good.
He's so good.
He's ripping back roadie sevens, and then he's front boarding big kinks. And then Kennedy surprised me. Did you see that video? Like, have you watched the North Face Fit? Yeah, I thought Kennedy's stuff was really good in that as well.
Spencer might be the ATV right now.
That's Rene Renacongas, brother. Have you seen that part?
Different type of snowboarding.
But also he's doing like
different.
You can't just write somebody off because they're too good.
No, I'm just saying it's
like that's what people do. They're like, oh, this guy's too good. Let's just write him off.
No, he's just just a different type of video. Spencer's probably obviously not as good as Rene on that level. I just mean of playing in both fields with others, where Rene's more like, I'm in my own field. I'm fucking doing a front rodeo off a building. It's maybe like a little bit more back in the day Breezy style, where you're like, nobody can argue with this. This is the craziest shit anyone's doing. Like, do you think that's video part of the year? Like, easy?
Rene?
Yeah.
I think he's got to get rider of the year. He's got to get video of the year, in my opinion.
So, yeah, exactly.
You can't, you couldn't, I don't think you could, it would be a disservice to Rene for putting that much time and effort into a video. And
for sure. And same with Breezy. Breezy would do that shit, he would win everything.
I would also disagree in some ways, because what Rene's doing is like really, really hard. Like Breezy hit big stuff and he did a little bit more basic stuff. Rene's like nollie back rodeo sevening off of stuff that's like nobody can do nollie back rodeo sevens. And then he's going to a gap rail and he's doing back 270 to fakie on a giant rail.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just to me like Rene putting 2 years of his life, putting
3.
Every ounce of his character, every fiber of his being, like he put everything into that part, and he was pushing himself, big jump tricks, big rail tricks, huge wall rides, like truly elevating snowboarding on a progression level, on good spot selection, on going big. And I think if we don't celebrate that Rene part for what it is, we're kind of doing a disservice to snowboarding. Whether you like it or you don't, that to me was like kind of inspirational and like clearly raising the bar trick for trick. You know, I understand everybody likes different flavors, but you can't argue that part was like jaw on the floor type good. Anybody else have any takes on that part? I just wanted to tee off on it.
The premiere at DIYX was insane. We were in a theater, and theater premieres are kind of hard because the energy can get lost really easily. With everybody sitting down, it's just kind of a more relaxed environment. You get to see the movie more, but it's not quite the like crazy premiere experience. But people were jumping out of their seats. We were screaming. Like when it was over, we had just seen a lot of movies in a row. And Rene's capped it off, and we're all outside, and it was like Ghost Faces. What the fuck did we just watch? Homie just broke snowboarding. Like I don't know. Yeah. It was
homie just broke snowboarding.
Yeah, like it was a different reaction to a premiere than I think I've ever experienced in my premiere.
Cool.
Days.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, Spenny, you're fucked.
No longer the ATV. You just got dethroned.
Spenny's part's fantastic.
No, Spenny's insane. Yeah.
But I just, when you claim like number one ATV, I had to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Also, Rennie's thing's like 20 minutes long. I was tripping on that.
Yeah.
There's so much footage. I don't like get as hyped on jumping off of buildings and stuff like that. Like, doesn't make me personally want to go snowboard. But the way that he did it and this like the style that he took, it was very impressive for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's inspiring. Inspiring stuff. A couple other videos. Ethan Morgan put out The Ride, which is totally different. It's fucking awesome. It's techno. He's like, it's conceptualized. If you haven't watched that, watch it with a good sound system, like maybe in a partying environment. And I think it will really hit. Stevens dropped totally unannounced Conundrum Continuum, something about bad aspect ratios. It's probably the worst name ever made in a video. And he just chopped up like iPhone footage and things he had filmed over the past year or two, and didn't tell anybody he was dropping a movie. And that one, was particularly exciting for me. If you haven't watched it, Beyond Metals was a great flick. Euro guys going huge. Really good stuff. I like Ulrich Bodschlatter launching back rodeos off everything. Screwdriver came out as well. If you haven't seen that, great soundtrack, by the way. Oh, Jesus, lost my notes.
Butters is a master.
It's so good.
He's so good.
Also, I got to make a disclaimer about Butters. When I came in last time, you asked me worst all-time Milo employee. It wasn't Griff, it's Butters. Dude, we used to call him the HAB, stands for half-ass bastard, because we'd be like in the back tagging Bakota tools, and he'd be like going to work, like floating around, like kind of sleeping, like walking around, not tagging. We're like, player, we're all back here tagging, brother. But he's an artist, that's why.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I got to get into another quick announcement here. Duels. Natural Selection does their Duels event where they send everybody to all these different mountains. They compete, and that's how you qualify into the finals. The Natural Selection. Tor Lundstrom will be competing against Stahle over in Switzerland. We got Steffi Luxton versus Madison Blackley. That'll be in 11 Irwin, Colorado. We got Bjorn Linus and Bryn Alexander. That'll be at Journeyman Lodge, and that'll be a split board event, which actually makes no sense qualifying for a board where you ride a solid in the final, but interesting. And then we got, so how do you say this guy's name?
Severin.
Just Severin yes, we'll just call
Vandermeer.
him. Yeah, Severin Vandermeer. There you go. Versus Brandon Davis, Kirkwood Mountain Resort in Lake Tahoe. That'll be a barn burner. Those guys are absolute rippers. Gabe Ferb versus Blake Moeller at Mountain Heli, Victor, Idaho.
That one's going to be fire.
That one's going to go off.
That's the one that I'm most hyped for.
Dude,
for sure.
Gabe shows up in these things, and BMO is a weapon. That one should be good. And then Aya Sato and Sharka are competing in Japan. And so that's kind of the qualifiers. But I'm just going to tee off on a bit of a take I have for the duels. To me, the duels are a complete fucking waste of time. Like, I'm just going to be honest. Like, I don't know how it all works or why they do it, or maybe there's partnerships, who knows, but like, when I'm watching a contest, I'm not going to go like, okay, like yesterday, I watched the Patriots game. They got destroyed by the Bills. I'm not going to be like, okay, they played this game 2 weeks ago. I'm going to go, look, I want to watch it live. Like, I want to watch the event live. I wanted to feel the energy. Events are about being live. And when you take all these people and you put them in remote locations and there's 10% of the footage is okay, and most of it is just garbage. Like, I as a media guy, I have to watch these. And there's been some moments that are good, but most of the moments, it's just like watching fucking paint dry. So I'm, again, huge pro Natural Selection. I think the finals are one of my favorite things to watch. I think it's one of the best events in snowboarding. I think it's a great direction to take snowboarding. But these things either need to be live or just do a live qualification, because the duels are useless, in my opinion. Nobody else? Am I on an island with this take?
I agree. As someone who works here and we talk about the duels and I have to track down footage of this stuff, it is painstaking. Yeah. Like finals, easy. Like so easy to find like highlights and everything and like the best moments. But like the duels, I'm like, there's nothing. There's nothing in there.
I don't mind the not live aspect of it. Like, I agree when Natty Select was live at J-Hole that year, it was insane. Nobody that works in snowboarding did any work that day. Everybody was watching it. The energy was insane. I like the competition aspect of the duels, and it's sick to see people like face off. But dude, the harshest thing was like some of the terrain that they chose, like, was not like, what can you do with what they gave you? You know, there's not places that people can actually like try tricks. There's not really much line selection. Like, and I mean, it's easier said than done. They're trying to do it at 10 different places throughout the world and have to rely on snow and things like that. But yeah, the terrain with the duels was really what was harsh, because you'd see some of your favorite snowboarders and be like, dude, I don't want to see Torgeir like blast off of something to flat.
Yeah.
I mean, I do, but like not like a 20-foot jump to flat, you know?
Anyway, in other competition news, Snow League is coming out this year, March 7th and 8th, half-pipe competition. And it's a $1.5 million prize purse. So it's going to be on NBC and Peacock. So they're going for it with this thing. Yeah, so it should be pretty fun to watch. It's just half-pipe. And I don't know if snowboarders can make more money. I'm all for it.
One contest?
That's all the information I have.
I heard you get $5,000 for showing up.
Yeah, I think they have appearance fees. I've heard that as well.
You ever got an appearance fee?
Yeah.
Sick.
The higher level events do that. And Take the Rake actually pays you to be there.
Sick.
Build the park for them.
How was that? Did you go to the recent one, or did you go 2 years ago?
No, I went to the first and second years of it.
Cool.
Epic event. I, like, straight up since the start of that event, have seen so many more girls working for park crew. And, like, I mean, obviously I think more people were inspired to do it, but I think girls on park crew were a lot more proud to be on park crew after that, because beforehand it was kind of like, I don't know, you were just fighting for your life every day, so it wasn't something that you claimed. And now there's more and people are more used to it. And I think in general, as an industry, with having more women around, I think people are just building more meaningful relationships with women, and that's making it easier to be a woman in the place. But yeah, I think Take the Rake made huge waves and is continuing to make waves, and isn't a snowboard-centric event, but did so much for the culture and the industry and the people that love snowboarding. So I back that event 100%.
Speaking of events, we are doing Bombhole Beatdown at Loon Mountain. Actually, Arbor came on board, so last minute.
Your boy's gonna be there.
Yeah,
player.
Trev's gonna be there.
Come on, I'm gonna be strapping in. Look, have two, brother.
Yeah. So we'll have
not on that ice, bro.
We'll have Grom class for 14 and under. We'll have open for anybody that wants to compete for just product, is how we put it. And then we have a $7,500 cash purse. So we put this thing together in the 11th hour and just called some people that work at brands and say, hey, can you guys scrap together some money for a cash purse? And you know, the only thing that we're getting is just our travel, you know, taken care of out of that, and all the money that it's a free event. So all of the money from the sponsors goes directly to the people competing. So it should be cool. We're also going to do a 1 foot race uphill. I think Joey B, how you doing, is going to be on the mic. And it's going to be a good time. I just welded 28 trophies, spray painted them, slapped some stickers on them. So if you're on the East Coast, January 4th, make your way to Loon. Should be a fun time. And then Harry, Rav, and Mikey LeBlanc's band, Portable Window, or as I like to call them, which they don't like, Harry and the Ravs, or Harry and the Mics. Yeah, come check them out. They play good music. They'll play a 30-minute set right after the event. So should be good. Any other topics, guys?
1-footed race?
Yeah, that's one thing that's pretty fun to do at events. You basically start them at the bottom of the venue, and then first person to the top gets generally a snowboard. And
seems dangerous.
Carnage, yeah.
What's the tech? Do you go foot in front of the board, foot behind the board? Do you go 90 and then like
just
pop up it?
Yeah.
Foot in front.
Yeah,
it's
foot
the
in
more
front.
powerful push.
I'll tell
I
you.
swear to God.
I don't think so.
I swear to God, if we had a race and we each got one push, and I pushed in front and you pushed in back,
I think you'd be shocked.
I would win.
I think Egan's right, actually.
No.
No, go on a cat track, and the people that are going quick are the ones that are pushing in front.
Yep.
You gotta have like 60-degree forward angle in the front foot so you can actually push and not have your hip all twisted.
That's a hack.
You got to have, as Egan said earlier in the show, gimbal knees like all skiers have.
Gimbal knees. I'm gonna take that one.
I will say the 1 foot race uphill, generally, it's like the athletic guy that probably was like varsity, like football player, just discovered snowboarding, absolute just specimen. It's usually like a 25-year-old specimen that beats a bunch of kids and gets the boards in my experience.
25-year-old specimen.
Was that you all who did the split board race uphill?
Yeah, Bombhole Cup. We did the split board race.
Yeah, that was epic.
Yes.
I thoroughly enjoyed that one.
Sounds hilarious.
So good.
Everybody that does it, their lungs are burning and they're just dead afterwards. One year, a guy won it in hard boots, which if you're familiar, you don't have to really like click in. It's the switchover is much faster. And that was fun because we bullied that person that won pretty heavily.
Performance enhancers, dog.
Yeah, they're no longer no hard boots allowed.
Yeah.
It's in the criteria now.
Yep. New rule.
Okay. You know what I do have? This is specifically for Trev. Mo Jennings sent a hot takes. You got to answer all of these very quickly. So just whatever pops in your head, Trev, you got to say. Okay.
Love it.
Ready? Don't overthink it. Favorite spot to board?
Brighton.
Favorite old head?
Jeremy. Brian.
Favorite local boarder?
Hunter Goulet.
Favorite snowboard part?
Nate Buzong, Maddie Ryan, love hate.
Favorite song?
Madonna Like a Prayer.
Favorite name to call Kale?
Splitty. He hates that one though.
Worst trick in snowboarding?
Michael Jackson, dude.
Egan, you got one?
For the worst trick in snowboarding?
Yep.
A zeeched frontboard pretzel. Fuck that.
Great answer. Bri, while we're doing it?
Tail press.
That's strange.
I say that for me too. I hate that trick.
I don't know. I don't know about that take. Worst trend? Worst snow trend?
The crazy baggy pant, like the psycho Aladdin pants. Those are insane. I'm so down for baggy pants, but there's a line where it's just not even functional.
Where's the line?
Favorite person to share a splee with? This is both you guys take this.
Mo Jennings, about back 9, hole 10, something like that.
Egan?
I split hardest with Iris.
Okay, least favorite person to share a splee with?
Anybody who runs them up too green, and I'm just like way more baked than I want to be.
Kind of a cop-out answer, but we'll take it.
Worst person to smoke with. Another cop out, but anybody who rolls a shitty spliff.
Okay.
If I'm like struggling to smoke it, I hate that.
Favorite place to golf? Trev.
Bonneville, baby.
Favorite person to lose to on the golf course?
Chris Grenier.
Favorite movie to fall asleep at? 2.
All of them.
Are you an old head?
Yes.
Okay, that's it. That's our Mo Jennings texted segment.
How old are you?
Almost 35.
What do you think? What is the cutoff?
No, I gotta love this take because Stevens right now, right? He's I don't know, he's 40. But the age doesn't matter. What matters, I think, is the drive. Because like Scott needs clips like he needs food. Like he's not gonna stop. He hasn't got other interests. He's not got into golf. He's like, I need clips. And so for that reason, I think age is irrelevant for somebody like Chad Otterstrom. Like he's the same way. He needs clips like he needs food. If that's the case, then age is relevant. But where age comes in fact, you get older, you got kids, you find golf, you fucking, the back lips start getting a little soggy. Those are the issues. So
what about Todd, who like is not getting clips, but is like really worried about snowboard judging? at like 56 years old? Like, does that put him into the Stevens?
Todd can still rip a half pipe.
I know, but he's like, I mean, I just mean he's not like Scott Stevens addicted to like a clip high.
Yeah, but he is somebody that I think contributes heavily to snowboarding. He has a podcast called Monday Mass where he talks about snowboarding. He is an announcer in snowboarding.
Do you think he's an old head?
Of course he's an old head.
Okay.
He'll tell you he's an old head. But I think that he still has relevance in the space because of, his merits and what he's done and being one of the
I'm
forefathers.
talking just old head.
He's an old head.
You have to have merits in the space to even be an old head.
For sure.
Ooh, that's a take.
Yeah, you have to be worth talking shit on.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Like if someone's
That's
talking
valid.
shit on you, that's that's good.
Yeah.
That's a good take. Yeah. You got any takes on old heads, Egan?
I don't know. I feel weird sitting here like probably 10 years
Next to all
younger
these
than
old heads.
Wait, how old are you?
I'm 23.
That ain't 10 years.
Well,
I'm 41, Egan.
see, I said at least 10 years.
She's like, I'm in an old head sandwich. I got to watch it.
So,
I don't want to offend you guys.
old head.
Permission to speak freely. though. Permission to speak
Yeah.
freely. Tell us what you really think.
I think once you get comfortable claiming age as an excuse, oh, I'm sore, I'm tired, you're a fucking old head. I don't want to hear it.
Talk to me when your back starts to hurt. That's all I'm saying.
And I will be an old head. I mean,
Those are the early signs of early onset old head when you start to feel your
So
the back
like
creeping.
Griff was old head at like 19.
For sure. Yeah, Griff's a perpetual old head. For sure. He'll claim it too.
Yeah, you will see early onset signs amongst your friends though. You'll start to
oh
see
yeah,
it.
I feel like another sign is when you're like back in my day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Old
Yeah.
head. Old head.
You know, another one you'll notice is getting
a good one.
injured in your sleep. Also, that's an early sign of early onset old head.
Not to be confused with burning your house down when you're smoking a cigarette.
yeah, would that
Two
count?
different things there.
Very different.
Oh, shit.
Okay, great talk. It's been a great show. I think we did it, guys.
You got any good questions?
Yeah, are there good ones in there?
You guys want to keep going?
We don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Silk.
Whatever.
I'm here.
I don't got anywhere to be.
Dude,
Okay,
have
you
you
got-
guys noticed Silk's eyes with that ring cam?
Actually, yeah.
People
The
with
ring.
blue eyes
I've been
feel
noticing
like-
the ring cam. It does more
does
than I
something.
expected.
We
yeah.
call it we didn't want to give Silk a real light. We call it the influencer light.
I was gone for an episode and I came back and this was here.
Yep. It's because Jules sat in there and she was really upset about the lighting. So we had to we didn't want to get a real light. So we wanted to
There
get
it is.
specifically an influencer light for the Silk cam. As you can see, it is really bad lighting on Silk's camera there.
Yeah.
You look great, Silk.
Thanks.
All right, I'll dig
Per
through.
usual.
Thanks.
Couple questions. Okay, post comp routines from Air Bear. Maybe you could take this one, Egan.
Sure.
Get fucked up.
Yeah, huge spliff. I mean, the people go to the party, whether it's a bar, whatever. We all congregate somewhere. And I usually try to find some mushrooms. I don't drink, so squirm my way around, bat some eyelashes, see if anybody has anything. Yeah,
Mushrooms.
just try to come down. I mean, it's hard doing events. It's such high adrenaline, and then the next day everybody dips out, and it's like the gnarliest form of Sunday scaries.
Yeah, do you get the saddies?
Yeah, I get the saddies so gnarly. Yeah,
What goes up must come down,
absolutely.
Borrowing happiness. We know how it goes.
Yeah, that's what happens. That's when you beat Trev on the golf course after he goes big night at Alan Jackson. He's in a okay.
Imagine his next day sadness. Just like,
Oh, Monday was tough.
I got to lose to the guy with a fucking podcast.
100%.
Fuck. Biggest mouth we got.
Yep. Next question. This is from Gucci Dragon King. Great handle. Gucci Dragon King. How often do you wax up?
If I am somewhere consistently, I'll wax every other night.
Well,
you can make your boards. I mean, that's probably also like a tech talk where for consumers, if you wax a lot, you can make your board way more durable for a standard resort day.
Depends on the base material, but yeah.
I rarely wax. I wax when somebody looks at my board and they're like, my iron's over here, grab it. I'm like, all right.
The board is sad.
Yeah, I mean, when you ride a board down concrete stairs, though, too, it's like the thing is just
hurt.
I can see some wax.
Oh, you got
on
some
there.
wax?
Yeah.
You're ready?
Yeah. You didn't do a very good job scraping, but
Well, when I wax, I don't scrape.
Did Jenna-
Adro waxed my board. He was
nice.
pretty bummed on the way it was looking, and I needed it. You know, you gotta wax the board for it.
Who did that graphic?
Janaea Jenkins did this graphic.
That thing's sick as fuck.
Super sick.
Yeah,
Dinos is fucking dope.
I think they have the best graphics.
absolutely.
Period.
I don't think you could
Point
argue that.
blank.
Yeah, you can't argue. That's actually a scientific fact. If you look it up in the Wikipedia,
Webster's.
Webster's Dictionary, if you Google in Webster's Dictionary, it'll tell you. So how often do you wax, Trev?
I'm like probably every 2 times. Honestly, waxing every time you go is the way to do it, but
Holy cow.
Yeah, I pretty much do that, but I
a lot
only
of time.
snowboard twice a week, so it's not that hard. All right, Trev, this next question. Matt Balk asks,
my little alum.
for Bone, have you taken more laps on Majestic in real life or in Amped 2?
Dude. Honestly, probably real life at this point because I stopped playing Amp 2 when I was like 16. But the program was go snowboard on Saturday, come home straight to the basement, just play Amped. Go snowboard on Sunday, come home, just play Amped, get your homework done, then you got to go to school on Monday. But a lot of time behind the Xbox controller.
Let's go.
All right, we got another question for Egan. Sammy Ism. Need to know what Egan thinks of the backflip kid who spawns at every rail jam.
I think something people easily forget is that a rail jam is just a spectacle. You're just giving the people what they want. I think the flipper is a quintessential part of the rail jam. It's not like necessarily street style. I'll agree with that, but you know, how many times have we done a rail jam that looks nothing like a street spot we would ever hit? A lot of times. I back the flippers. Shout out Ryan.
Great take. It's about the energy. It's about the vibe.
Yeah.
Let me get one quick hot take on that.
Okay.
Automatic DQ if you flip on or off of a rail.
I don't think you should be winning. I can back that.
But it's
I don't think it's like the best trick.
Yeah.
I think it's
Entertainment value.
it's part of the show. What are we doing? Like, what are we doing if we're not here to entertain this crowd?
Mm-hmm.
That's good business.
Yeah.
Maybe that's part of the answer for Canute. She's a good entertainer. That's part of the job. Chris was always amazing at that. Like,
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Always the part was like, it's clear this dude's making this to entertain.
Yeah, thank you.
So-
yeah, that's
So
part of
maybe
the
it's
deal.
like a little street style. Like,
Well, just if you think about, you zoom out, you look at the overall, you got a crowd of people. And like, I love a nice back tube, whatever, tech trick. I love difficult tech trick. But the guy that's going backflip 50-50, like Ryan Paul, like the crowd is erupting. That's what you want. You want a crowd to erupt. We want this going back to the vibe. You want to contain this energy. You want it to be electric.
it's dangerous too.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
That's a good way to get people into snowboarding.
Yep.
To be walking down the street and you hear some roar go on and you go and check out what's going on. And somebody's getting winched off of a balcony doing a fucking backflip. Like, that is a really good way to get somebody to go to Highland and see what's up with this thing.
Dude, can you imagine being a random human walking through the streets and Renee's filming? Just to tap into like a standard human's brain when Renee's like building, front 5, cab 12 or whatever. And you're like,
And he gets absolutely obliterated and hikes back up.
You know who's an example of that? If you go snowboard, for example, Mammoth with Zeb, right? You got main chair. like anybody that is watching Zeb Powell go down the mountain is having that experience. Like, what the fuck? I'm having that, and I'm like filming it with my iPhone. And so the guy going up the chairlift is definitely having that experience. Yeah. And so Zeb is a prime example of that. That's really fun to watch. Okay, let's see. What else we got for questions here? Egan on Red Bull Heavy Metal. What's your take? Are you going to him this year?
Yeah.
Nice.
I love heavy metal. Hopefully this one doesn't come back to bite me in the ass, but I back what they're doing. They are, in America, the truest rail jam on the biggest stage right now. They've been doing it right. They bring it to a big spot. They advertise it well so that people show up. I mean, consistently, I think Red Bull Heavy Metal has had the biggest crowd. The X Games aside, but even Dew Tour was sad compared to Heavy Metal.
How about compared to DIYX?
Comparable.
It's like saying you feel like as a competitor, you're like, fuck yeah, this is like.
Yeah, I think DIYX and Heavy Metal are such funny parallels to each other because they're kind of like the Euro and American versions of each other, but they're so clearly the Euro and American versions. But I think they both do an incredible job at showcasing snowboarding to the general public in such a shocking way that it's impossible not to stare and be like, what the hell? Mm-hmm. You know, you see Benny Milam eat shit off the kink rail, have somebody pull his elbow back into place and get back up and lace it. Like, what?
You see
what
Egan
is going on?
lay a backy out over a 40-foot gap, like step down.
Totally.
Like, you know,
you're walking to the shopping mall and they're setting the rails on fire. Like, what is going on?
Yeah, going back to our previous conversation, you know, like how do we you know, grow the sport or whatever. I think it all starts on a local level with the culture. You bolster the culture, you do cool things, and people see that and they want to be a part of it. It's not rocket science, but like, yeah, those are all the ingredients to making what we do cool, which is important to all of us.
Totally.
I like it. We got a question for Bryan here. This is a good one from Colin D. Watt.
Shop legend.
Let me make sure I finish this question too. What is Bryan's favorite trick to do on a snowboard? In parentheses, turning doesn't count.
I mean, yeah, fair enough. I agree. My favorite trick to do on a snowboard: frontside 720 off the toes on like a very poppy jump.
Woo!
What grab?
Frontside grab.
What does that mean?
Like
Sorry.
Indy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Early onset old head coming in there. Okay, this is another question. We got a lot of these, so you could probably answer a lot of questions by. This one's from Zam Test to you, Bryan. What's up with drink water? Anything new on the horizon? Need another rat race? We got that from basically 20 people, so you can answer all of those.
Yeah, I'd say drink water was kind of a COVID casualty, realistically. But yeah, I don't know about horizon. It's something that like lives in my kind of heart always, which is weird. I think we did 8 or 9 rat races and a couple double taps, and I loved the events and I loved the films. But yeah, it once we couldn't do the events, and you know, Austin and I kind of went our own separate ways. It was like, you know, just kind of went the way of the buffalo. But it ain't dead. It could be whatever it might be. Whenever I see the kids rolling around with the big stars on their head, I'm just like, fuck, I should bring it back. This is a sad look. It's awesome. You know, you like go to the tournament party and everyone's just like so insanely concerned with looking cool, and they got their outfits and they're just like so edgy and look at this crazy fit I got on, and then they're like, boom, this is a rock star logo on my fucking head. You're like, fuck, like that is just brutal looking. And maybe that, yeah, either way. So to all those people, yeah, it ain't dead, but it's on life support, you know?
Okay, I had a question, asking for a friend. What did you think of in terms of the energy drink space, The run through a wall helmet. Where do we land on that? Are we pro or anti?
Absolutely pro.
Okay.
I think.
Curious.
Well, specifically, do you guys own it privately?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's like shit. We should have put it on the board for snowboard-owned companies.
Straight up, run through a wall.
Run through a wall. It's like, damn, these dudes are doing big things. They're doing the helmets now. They got fucking
all goes back into snowboarding.
You know, they're doing. They probably some TikTok stuff and like I see you have this like, I don't know. Are you getting these hockey players to do any of yours, or are you just stealing? Like,
I'm stealing it from the internet. Yes.
See, that's also like, that's good business right there. You know,
the entire thing is a joke, and people buy them. And thank you to anyone that's purchased them because we're having a lot of fun with it. And that's the idea.
You've got to imagine Monster was a joke, and then they're like, oh,
people actually like this.
They seem to take themselves rather seriously, though. No.
I mean, yeah. You might one day run through a wall might turn into this massive thing and people will be like, that's funny. And you're like, it's not a joke.
It's not. No, this is very serious.
It's very serious.
Okay.
Either way, fuck Monster.
That was good. That was good.
Okay, nice rant. That was a good rant.
I mean, that's their questions
rant.
are asking for a rant. Like, it's obviously you know what they're teeing up.
Okay, this one, Sweet Rico wants to know, Bryan, what's your surf snow ratio each year and is it changing?
Recently, my snow ratio, after I got hurt, my snow ratio went way up. Of like last year was probably the most I've snowboarded in 10 years or something. But I surf a lot, probably 50-50 at this point right now. Yeah, probably 50-50. Sweet Rico.
Nice. Sounds like a maybe an Egan ratio that she would.
Yeah, maybe I hit Egan 60-40, 60 snow, 40 surf.
There we go.
You know,
That's a
I'm
good
just
ratio.
chasing the dragon. Both of those things are like such fickle motherfuckers. Where you're like, it's like. It'd be like if you can't find weed. Like that's the funny thing about powder and surf is that the drug is hard to get. So it's not just that the drug is amazing. It's also that you're like, oh, fuck it. Like I just want it to be good. Like where's it good? Could I fly somewhere that it's good?
I get a question. If it's not good and you go snowboarding, are you riding around the rails or are you touching them?
Dude, I've been touching lately. But I do have to admit, like I watched this clip that Mo posted yesterday of all the boys at Woody's.
Yeah, it's really fun.
And I was like, oh, Jeff Richards is better than me at riding rails like times 10.
Oh, 100%.
You know, where I was like, oh, damn, homie, day 2 is like, he's going sideways.
It's a weapon.
Yeah.
You might have been better than you at riding rails in your prime, brother.
Dude, no, in my prime, I would fuck people up for sure. I was better than Chris at rails. When Chris was a rail dude and I was a rail dude.
You know you don't mean that. You know you don't mean that.
When we both worked at camp.
Let the listeners decide. Let the listeners decide.
When we
brother.
When we both worked at camp.
There's not a chance, brother. I had you covered all day. Look, jump in, you got me, brother. Steeled, you're speaking out your ass.
Dude, I don't know.
You and I know that.
I don't know if I am. Have you ever done a front board back to switch or frontside 270 back to switch? No, absolutely not.
You don't want the smoke. You do not want the smoke, brother. We should. I would love to go head to head in a rail jam right now.
Currently,
I would. Fuck you up?
Do we detune?
We
rail
could live
edges?
stream it too. It wouldn't be like the duels. We could actually live stream.
We'll go Instagram live with the vertical film.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm ready. You want?
I'm absolutely not. But give me a month. Give me a month. I haven't done a board slide through a kink in like 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
But give me a month and I'll fuck you up.
Yeah, but your bag of tricks was like front 270, front lip. Like it ended. It was like 4 tricks, and then,
Dude,
it's
I'm
like, then
talking
you're at the end of the
camp.
bag. You're at the end of the bag.
Dude, I got
Bomb drop. Don't forget the bomb drop.
I don't know if I ever hit a bomb
drops.
Did I?
Not like a static bomb drop. But
I don't think I hit bomb drops.
Well, a bomb drop is like, I feel like there's a clip of you on a Nitro swindle. I can't remember. Maybe in Resonance, maybe. But you did like a frontside air, and it was kind of like a bomb drop. It wasn't static. You rolled
into the
it.
wall at Lou Whiff's house.
Yeah.
That's what I call it. Lewis
Quebec.
house.
Yeah. Okay. That's good stuff. You riding around the steel?
Dude, I have been smacking steel.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
It's not my, given another option, I probably wouldn't be smacking the steel, but I respect the steel.
What about you?
This is what I take. Matty Moe's a powder purist, and we went up to Snowbasin the other day. He got back on the steel, came out of retirement. Because when you're a powder purist, if it's not snowing, you go into a depression. And so, what happened with him is he was getting depressed. He couldn't snowboard, couldn't splitboard. I said, hey, come on back over to the steel. The steel, doesn't matter the conditions, doesn't matter if you have 2 inches of snow, the steel is there for you when you need it. So like these people that graduate where they start riding around the rails, like all I'm saying is just like if the conditions are bad, like the steel will always be there for you. It's always.
No, I always hit steel. Going sideways is different. Like 50, you can fit. It's like I've seen all the current videos. I actually think I should get back in the streets. I'm like, they're just going 50-50. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, this looks like me riding through the park. Like, how do I make this look kind of creative? Like, fuck.
It's kind of sick when you're an old head rolling through the park because you do like a front lip and people are like, oh, damn, he still got it. It's like a little people pleaser,
I front 270 onto a box the other day, and somebody was like, holy fuck. And I was like, it's a box. Like,
didn't know you could still do that, bro.
That's a sad commentary on how shit I am,
All right, I think we did it, guys. We'll end on that note. Trev, did you have fun?
I had so much fun.
Good. Egan?
I had a great time.
It was a great chat. Now the AC is finally working. Now that they're not sweating. Silk, did you have a good time?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Always.
Brian?
Loved it.
Nice.
I love it. I think what you guys make here is fucking incredible. And your ability to keep it going, fucking really, really shitload of respect to your whole crew. I know you got a bunch of employees now, so it's not just you guys, but it's really sick. It's great for snowboarding, and it's fun for us to be a part of, for sure.
Thanks, Brian. This is fun. Isn't it fun, Chad? Yeah. I have a goddamn blast doing this. So thanks to everybody that listens, because without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do this. So much respect. And it's the holidays, so everybody have fun, hopefully with your loved ones. And we'll have another show next Wednesday. Why don't, who should do the sign-off, Silk?
I'm thinking Bone.
Yeah, Trev, why don't you hit a sign-off for us? Just take us out of the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in for 4.5 hours to 3 old heads and an up-and-coming female rider. As always, make sure you support the Patreon, make sure you buy from snowboarder owned and operated companies, and have a Merry Christmas.
Yeah.